operation.
When we arrived there in the early hours of this morning, suspects opened fire with the police and shootout ensued. And in that shootout, 5 suspects were shot and fatally wounded. And we are pleased that no officer was injured.
Gauteng Premier has called on police to find a gunman or gunmen behind the shooting of 5 traffic wardens on the East Rand. The officers were attacked with an AK-47 rifle and a gun during a routine patrol search at the Daveyton railway station yesterday morning. The wardens are in hospital after sustaining injuries. Community Safety Department spokesperson Ofense Morwane says the motive for the attack is being investigated.
Unfortunately, this act of violence demonstrates utter disregard for the rule of law. However, we will not be deterred from doing our work as law enforcement in the province. We will continue to intensify our operations targeting crime hotspots in the province.
8 Gauteng departments have achieved clean audits for the 2024-2025 financial year. Finance MEC Lebogang Maile made the announcement during a media briefing in Johannesburg yesterday. But Maile says some entities still fall short of putting their houses in order. Ntokozo Khumalo reports.
Gauteng Finance MEC Lebogang Maile says more than half of the province's departments received clean audits this year. He says these include the Office of the Premier, Roads and Transports and the Provincial Legislature. Maile, however, pointed out that not all departments have improved. He says the Education Department lost its clean audit status and received an unqualified opinion, while Sports, Arts and Culture slipped further, moving from an unqualified to a qualified audit. Maile also revealed that 14 of the province's 19 public entities, such as the Gauteng Growth and Development Agency and Gauteng Film Commission, achieved clean audits.
The key issues raised by the Auditor General on the 5 entities were non-compliance on annual financial statements because of weak internal controls and lack of adequate management reviews in the financial reporting processes.
Maile says the Provincial Treasury will continue working with the departments and entities to strengthen financial accountability and maintain public trust. Ntokozo Khumalo, Eyewitness News.
And US President Donald Trump has warned foreign companies to obey American laws after immigration officials arrested more than 400 people at a Hyundai LG battery plant in Georgia. The arrests were made in a raid by US authorities on Thursday during the largest single-site operation implemented so far under Trump's nationwide anti-migrant drive. Footage of the raid shows detained workers in handcuffs and with chains around their ankles being loaded onto a bus. Stephen Shrunken, special agent in charge of Homeland Security investigations in Georgia, told reporters that the raid targeted unlawful employment practices.
This operation underscores our commitment to protecting jobs for Georgians and Americans, ensuring a level playing field for businesses that comply with the law.
Gold is trading at $3,587.62 an ounce. The rand is at 17.59 to the dollar, 23.75 to the pound, 20.61 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.32 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident on the M1 North that happened near Corlett Drive. It's causing delays while travelling on the Mike 1 North bumper-to-bumper traffic between Boysons Road and Carr Street.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. Johannesburg starting at 12 degrees, peaking at 27. Pretoria 13 and 29. Vereeniging 11 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. 5 suspects have been killed in a shootout with police in KwaZulu-Natal this morning.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7.
And 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Five minutes after 9 o'clock. Thanks very much for joining us. My name is Thabo Shole-Mashao. I'm in for Clement Manyathela. We are together all the way until 12. Thank you once again for sticking and choosing 702. Let me just quickly give you some heads up as to what's coming up on the show. The open line between now and 10 o'clock. I don't know if you read that story in the Star or you got wind of it, where the court overturned school sanctioned for learners caught vaping. The story was written by Zelda Venter of INL, and Zelda was writing that the Western Cape High Court declared 2 disciplinary actions against 2 learners who were vaping in school's hostel unlawful, as the school's governing body twice punished them for the same offense, which amounts to double jeopardy. The now grade 10 learners were twice found to be vaping, and the first incident was at the end of year 2023 when they were in grade 8, and the second incident was last year, a few months down the line. So the school decided to expel these 2 learners. They're just known as M for mother, L for Lima, and simply because you need not identify them because they're still minors, and they should not be identified as such for their protection. So they're known as M and L. So when I said M for mother, it's just to let you know that it's not N for November. It's not the name of the learners at all. So but I digress. So the real issue here is that the Western Cape High Court overturned the decision of the school to expel these learners. And the judge said the governing body during the disciplinary proceedings treated vaping as a criminal offense, which most likely influenced both the severity of the sanctions imposed and the way the transgressions were assessed. And the judge felt that this action to expel the children was somehow disproportionate, and the school should have been a little bit amenable to the fact that this decision is too excessive, and they should not go that far as expelling the learners. Now, the question comes back to us, because when the parents of these 2 learners were informed that your children are going to be expelled, we've dealt with them on this matter many times before, and we feel that now they should vacate our premises simply because they might poison the environment, and we'd like to keep a certain sense of discipline in the school. One of the fathers wrote to the school and said, "I do not agree with this decision of expelling my child, and I want to appeal it." And as a result, the matter ended up in court, and the court thought, no, that's not the way to deal with children, just to kick them out of school. So the question that I have for you as a parent, as someone who works perhaps in the schooling environment, generally as a South African who would be concerned about these matters, did the school become too excessive in their punishment that they meted out to these 2 learners? Or should we say that these learners really contravened the conventions of the school? The rules and the disciplinary code of the school was transgressed by these learners more than once. And for the parents to come to the rescue of their children, all that they are doing is encouraging wayward behavior and ill discipline of their children, and using the court as a weapon to deal with the school, as opposed to giving proper discipline to their children at home. And now you are protecting a child who transgressed the rules of the school. You are protecting a child whose behavior is unbecoming at a school, and you are using the might of the law against the school that is trying to protect other children from your child. Because you at home, you can't deal with your own issues. Now you outsource the discipline to the school. And when the school gives that discipline, you act against the school nonetheless by taking these matters to court. So I wanted us to just look at this. And also, the judgment of the courts. Isn't that a little bit interfering? Of course, the court is the arbiter of various disputes, all disputes in our society, I suppose, especially the ones that are taken forth. But, I mean, Isn't it meddling of the judge in matters that have got to deal with the school? But also as parents, how far have we gone to try to be so overly protective of our children? Why can't you find another school for your child? They've asked your child to stop smoking at school, vaping at school, and your child keeps on doing this. But because you have got money, you are well resourced, you are going to take the school to court. I find it rather odd that parents would go that far, especially when your child is wrong, especially when you know. I mean, what are you saying to your child? What message are you sending to them now? That, hey, boy, do whatever you want at school. Daddy's going to get very expensive lawyers to cover you up. Beat up other children, do as you please, and then daddy can afford expensive lawyers, will take the school to court. I mean, are we not supposed to be working hand in hand with schools as far as the discipline of the children are concerned? Or it could be that you're thinking, oh, well, the school is way, way too unfair. Just for vaping, you are kicking the kids out. And these are bright boys. They are contributing to the sporting and cultural activities of the school. The school has admitted that these are smart kids that are doing so much for the school, other than these two misdemeanors. That's what you may want to even refer to the vaping as. And why can't you find a creative way of disciplining them and still keeping them in the system, not throwing them to the doldrums of infinite, perpetual fires of the Hades? I'd love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you. Who's on the right and who's on the wrong? Another venture that I thought we could exploit in the open line, the death of our policemen. Yesterday, there was a commemorative ceremony, and the police were saluting the departed colleagues at the National Police Commemoration Day at the Union Buildings in Pretoria. And it was said that 27 men and women in blue had died in the line of duty in the past 12 months. That was from April last year. I mean, so many policemen dying in the line of duty. Surely it can't be right. I'm the first to speak about police brutality and say this, that, and against the police. But so many policemen dying. What does it say about us? I mean, when you go to countries like China, policemen are revered. We had an incident, an associate of mine had an incident in China some time ago at Tiananmen Square, where someone was taking pictures of us, and then they wanted to swindle us of more than what was supposed to be received, and he was just creating a fuss about it. And we were supposed to pay, I think, about 20 yuan. And then he wanted us to pay about 400 yuan or something like that. And we had this heated argument with him until a police lady marched across the square, and we saw the police lady and we waved at her. The guy did not even think twice. He gave us our money back, he gave us the pictures, and he just went on his way. I don't know what the policeman said to him, but what the police lady said to him, but he just left. I mean, he was so shaken. I don't think that we have that in our country, where we have proper respect for the policemen, for the men and women in blue. When you see them and you have shivers down your spine, okay, that's pushing it a little bit. But where you realize that this is a figure of authority and you recognize that. I don't think we have that. But the lack of that leads to individuals taking advantage to an extent of wanting to kill policemen. You remember those two policemen in the West Rand who passed on not too long ago. Remember what happened to them. I mean, I think the guy is still at large, and it was said that he fled to another country and he shot, we don't know who shot those two policemen dead, and they were taking him back to the police station, and the guy apparently took their vehicle as well. And I mean, he shot them execution style, allegedly, execution style. There's something to be said about us being so brazen. We have seen videos The last one was in Ekurhuleni, where a community member was literally exchanging blows with a policeman. I was like, hey, Batu, you're fighting with a policeman in front of everyone, dragging the policeman down, beating up the Ekurhuleni Metro Police, and the people were laughing and what? You're thinking, what is that? What is that? That is not to say that policemen are perfect and policewomen are perfect. It's not to say that. We speak about it when they do wrong. But, I mean, just to get into a boxing match with a policeman, just like that. And by the way, it's not new at all. You'd remember those very funny Leon Schuster movies when the pranks are being held in that famous Leon Schuster. Some people would literally want to beat up a supposed policeman. And you would be thinking, what are you doing? The level of disrespect for the authorities, for the police in this country is scary. We have to deal with it. Well, let me know. The lines are now open on 011-883-0702. Between 10 and 10:30, we'll ask the question of, can Africa capitalize on the 2025 G20 Summit through its diaspora? We know that the G20 Summit is huge, and Africa and the diaspora, how can it contribute to making sure that we don't miss on the low-hanging fruit and other exploits of this opportunity of hosting it on the African soil? We'll be speaking to a Senegalese engineer, mathematician, and European Commission advisor on digital transformation. Abdou Samb will be joining me in the studio. The Gauteng provincial government audit outcomes will be looked into as well just after 10:30. MEC Lebogang Maile will join us and tell us about the irregular expenditure exceeding 4.2 billion rand. And we'll talk about that because in your province, that's what's happening. And generally, they're saying it looks good. It looks good. There's an improvement. And we shouldn't only thrive when there are bad news. We must also point at some good, right? So let's have that conversation. Family Matters will be looking at the way to navigate around blended families. You broke up with your partner. You established a new family. She established a new family. Now you go on holiday together with your extended families. Now this is a blended family. You visit each other because for the sake of kids, you want peace and everything else. I'm not a big fan of that. I'll say it outright. If it works for you, I'm happy for you. But I think you are just inviting a whole lot of stuff with blended family. And now your ex is there and is holding someone else's hand and they're lovey-dovey. And you are watching all of that and you're supposed to be okay with it. Oh, but that's just me. I don't know. You'll tell us about that between 11 and 12. Abel, the show has officially begun at 9:19.
702
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
I mentioned Abel because he's the technical producer. He's responsible for making sure that technically we are sound and there's a clear bridge between you and I. And the two major chefs of the show, the two guru producers of the show, Sinazo and Zintle, are also here. And of course, we can't do it without you. Feel free to send your thoughts, your messages, your text messages, and your voice notes to 072 702 1702. 072 702 1702. I would also love to hear from you if you'd like to call on any of those things that I've mentioned, or you have your own offerings to put on the table. I'm more than happy to entertain that on 011 883 0702. Let's go straight to Simon in Alberton. Simon, good morning.
Hi, Thabo.
Hi, Simon. Can you hear me?
Yes, 100%. Thabo, I don't blame
Simon,
the
I'm going to ask you to hold just 1 second. Ne? I'm battling to hear you, but I'll sort out the problem. I think it's not you, it's me this side. Great. Abel came to the rescue, and now I'm sure I can hear you. Let's try again, Simon.
Thank you. And now, how does it sound? Is it fine?
No, I can hear you perfectly. It was on my side. I apologize for that. It was not
Thank you, Thabo.
Yes, sir. Go
Thabo,
ahead, please.
Let's not blame the parents. Let's not blame the school. Let's not blame the kids. Let's fully blame the parents. The parents are not disciplined. The parents, they've got money that they don't know what to do. Maybe these tenders money, people that get it and they don't know what to do. How can you take a school for vape? Are you saying to me all the kids must vape at school because of 2 kids? No, it doesn't work in that way.
Sure.
Discipline is discipline. Because I say the parents are not disciplined. They've got money that they don't know. They must donate that money to poor people, man. Mustn't play with money.
So, Simon, are you saying that the school was excessive? It shouldn't. Are you saying that the school is right by kicking the kids out? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because they say this has been happening several times. What the school was supposed to do.
Why can't they find another way of punishing them? They could suspend the kids. They could perhaps get the kids to go to detention. They could get the kids to pick up litter around the school. They could find ways, force them to write essays or find creative ways. Expulsion should be the last thing, especially when the kids are so young. You might be throwing their future away.
But, Thabo, you know what? When a person is not disciplined, and that person is from the rich people, you can't do nothing. You can't just do nothing. The father says, I'll fight for you. I've got money. The government give me money that I don't know what to do with it. I'll take them to court. Of course, yeah.
Well, Simon, let us know. Those are the views of Simon. I'd love to hear from you. Simon is saying that these are wealthy parents and they're abusing their power and the kids must be expelled. I'm not too sure about that. I've served on the SGB before, school governing body before. I had always mitigated against learners being thrown out of school, or at least the recommendation of expulsion of learners. I had always thought we should find ways, and whenever I engaged those learners, more often than not, you'd find out what the problem was, and it didn't have much to do with the incident, but it was a reaction to other underlying issues. But what do I know? Let me know. 011-883-0702. And let's take some voice notes, Abel, before I forget them and get into trouble. 072-702-1702.
Thabo, good morning, and also good morning to your listeners. Jake's here in Waterkloof. You know, I'm just listening about these learners and that are punished for vaping. I'm just thinking of how lazy sometimes we can be really when it comes to correcting misbehaviors. I mean, we send them home. We telling them not to come back to school for what? To continue home smoking, sitting home smoking. I don't find any correctiveness in that decision. I do feel like this school board also need to be helped in corrective measures, you know, as to how do we really implement things that can have a longer corrective measures in them than just terminations. Because for me, it's like you just terminating growth, you just terminating future on a shortfall. I don't know, just my thinking.
Yeah.
All right, Jakes.
Hola, Jakes.
Hi, Thabo. It's Monges in Joburg. I don't really have the answer in terms of what schools can do or what parents can do for that matter. The only thing that I've come to learn is that schools themselves are a bit hamstrung in terms of what they can do or how much of their regulations or code of conduct they can really implement, because while a child can be expelled from school A, they can go to school B. It doesn't mean that the child who is of, in air quotes, ill discipline stays out of school, because the law doesn't allow that. So whether they go to a different school, whether they are expelled or not, they will end up in another school with the, again, in air quotes, bad behavior.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the answer is. It's more of a question really of how we as society can deal with this, or how we could improve this kind of behavior. It's Mongezi.
Morning 702 and listeners. Regarding the issue of the learners that should have been expelled, they most certainly should be expelled. There is a generation of children that, one, this behavior is taught at home by disrespectful, undisciplined parents that actually think, and this is just shocking that you think that it is okay that your children conduct themselves like this at school. Many schools make the parents sign a code of conduct and how their children have to act at school. And why drag this into court? If your children have gone against this disciplinary code of conduct, and to go and get expensive lawyers, and the fact that the court found in favor, that just shocks me even more. So one day when your kids get into the work environment and they get dragged into a disciplinary action because of their behavior, because you as parents have taught them this, good luck with that. Are you going to go and get more lawyers and go to the CCMA and the labor courts? You are teaching your children to be undisciplined and disrespectful, and it is disgusting.
Yeah, very heated. I must say that I agree with a lot of what you said there. And I would understand. If you're taking the school to court for not wanting to keep your child because they want to learn differently. I would understand. But for ill discipline, that has been repetitive in nature. I'm not a fan of that. But let us know on 011-883-0702, 27 minutes after 9 o'clock. Let's go straight to Mpho, who's been holding for some time. Thanks for your patience, Mpho, in Pretoria. Welcome.
Hi, Thabo. Good morning.
Good morning, Mpho. What's on your mind?
Thabo, I think this issue with the school is really disgusting. And I mean, for a parent to take the kids to take the school to court, that is just out of the question. The school is going to find it extremely difficult to discipline other students and to just maintain discipline in the school, because now they're seen as, these kids will come back to school and they'll be seen as preferential treatment, and it's really going to be extremely difficult for the school to uphold discipline and the code of conduct, going forward. I think they're really compromised, and for this particular parent to even go as far as taking the school to court, I think that is atrocious. We are setting some bad examples here for our kids, and it's gonna come back to bite us in the bum. And it just goes with the impunity that we're seeing in this country. Really, I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed.
Sure. And I take that, Mpho. I take that on the chin. I would like to just introduce one thing to you. But do you think that the discipline was proportionate to the contravention? Or could the school have found another way of disciplining the kids without expelling them?
And you're raising a very good point. So because then after this, it means all the schools now need to go back to the code of conduct and revisit them and recalibrate them. But I mean, for what? It's a code of conduct. If you're applying for a job and they tell you this is a dress code, you can't come in a different dress code and say, no, but I mean, you guys are very strict. It's just a code of conduct. When you took your child to that school, you knew that that was exactly what they were, supposed to be doing. You signed it, like that lady was saying, who just called. So I think it's very disappointing, and we need to be very careful as parents. How we apportion our resources, but one way not to go about it is to protect your child when they've done wrong. And especially in this manner.
And the unintended consequences of our actions as parents, as we try to protect the kids, and we think that we are doing the right thing, and then we could be doing something wayward, and that could encourage the kid with the unfortunate behavior. Mpho, really appreciate your time. It's exactly 9:30. Sfiso Zulu is here to tell us what's the latest on Eyewitness News headlines. Good morning, Sfiso. Welcome.
Thanks, Thabo. Good morning. KwaZulu-Natal police have recovered 3 guns from a crime scene where 5 suspects were shot and killed in the south of Durban. There was a gun battle between the gang and police at the Lusaka informal settlements in the early hours of this morning. The police's Robert Nichonda says the group was wanted for criminal activities. Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating police corruption says it will announce a way forward by the end of the week as pressure mounts to hear from KwaZulu-Natal police Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. The committee is tasked with investigating allegations of political interference in the criminal justice system and wants Mkhwanazi to be its first witness to testify. And a man in New Zealand who has been on the run with his 3 children for almost 4 years has been shot dead. Tom Phillips was fatally shot while police responded to an armed robbery in Western Waikato in the early hours of the morning. Police say one of his children was with him at the time of the shooting, but the child is unharmed. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, travelling on the N3 North, we've got delays between Marlborough Drive and the Baku interchange. There's also queuing traffic in Melrose on the M1 North before Corlett Drive. This is due to an accident along this route, so please be on the lookout there. While travelling towards Bedford View, delays on the N12 and R24 West between Edenville Road and the Kirulis interchange. Leaving Boysons, there's still queuing traffic along the M1 North between Boysons Road and Carr Street. We'll have more updates for you at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Pneumococcal disease can strike at any time, especially if you live with a chronic condition or have weakened immunity. If you're 19 and older with a chronic disease, vaccination can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia. The risk increases for people 65 and older, and vaccination is advised to help prevent serious illness. Ask your healthcare professional about pneumococcal vaccination. Don't wait. Vaccinate. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Saddle up for springtime success with Hollywood Bets. Experience the thrill of the turf and take a shot at a share of 100,000 Rand in cash and betting vouchers. All you have to do is bet 50 Rand or more on any horse racing meeting online or visit your nearest branch to enter. Spring into action and bet now for your shot at exciting rewards.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our new Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Looking for real ways to live greener? Then don't miss Green Tip of the Week, your weekly dose of sustainable inspiration from eco-entrepreneurs to climate champions. We sit down with the people making real change. Catch Green Tip of the Week every Tuesday on Afternoon Drive with John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m. only on 702. Proudly brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
702 indeed. We have been canvassing a number of issues and on the open line between 9 and 10 in the previous half hour we touched on the Western Cape High Court that overturned the decision of the school to expel kids who had been caught vaping more than once. The parents took the kids, took the school to court, and the court found that the school's action to expel the kids was a little bit excessive and disproportionate with the contravention. So I've been asking you, what do we do under circumstances? Should the school have found creative alternative ways of disciplining the kids, or did the parents go overboard? And the overreach of the courts, goodness me, to go to that point. The court could have said, guys, go and sort it out. Go and sort it out and then come back to us. We can't be dealing with this. I think that the level of overreaching was just too much. But listen, I'd love to hear from you. You're a parent. You know better. Who's who in the Zoom? My name is Thabo. I'm in for Clement. We're together till 12. It's great having you with us. Feel free to send those voice notes to 072 702 1702. Alternatively, 011 883 0702.
Morning. The issue about police killings, I think, again, unfortunately, it ties back to our history. Where South Africans, we've not challenged ourselves to say things have changed. We must also change our point of view. So obviously, historically, the police was used in the townships, and our black population has a very negative perception of the police. However, it's a function that's necessary. We can't now, 30 years later, still have, I think, the same view and mindset of police than we had during the apartheid years. So yeah, there are many things where things in the country have changed, but I think maybe our attitude towards things haven't changed. So yeah, the ongoing challenge of how we evolve as a country.
In the case that you were talking about the police in China, that a guy ended up running away because he respects their law enforcement. The challenge we have here, Thabo, respect goes two ways. Our police, they don't respect themselves. They drink in uniform. They do things that makes people not even to start to respect them. They love money so much. So that's why you find that there is no respect. But if you want to be respected, you start by respecting yourself. Show that you are a law enforcement. Show that you are a police. But here, even if the wrong ones, they are the right one. Even if they stop you, they find everything is right. You've got your license, you've got your belt. They're always going to look for something for them to get something. So things like that, it makes us as people not to respect our law enforcement. But if they respect themselves, I promise you, Thabo, we will also able to respect them.
Morning, Thabo and the team and everyone there. Mahlatsi Midrand here. Thabo, I think things have changed, man. How our police conduct themselves, it's and how we interact with them, and the bribery issue that is on the plate. And we know that when something is wrong in my car, I would just give them a 20 rand, whatever, and then I'll be free. It's one of those that makes us whether to value and respect them or not. How they conduct themselves as well. But the other thing is, I mean, I support them when those policemen who are seriously working, when they're met with fire, they must just fight fire with fire, because you can't just stand and die while somebody's trying to kill you. But the conduct as well, man, they need to change. They need to be the police for the people and fight crime. That's all.
Very interesting views. I think there are one or two that I can't just leave them just like that. The contextual historicity that was mentioned earlier by one of the voice notes, I think is very relevant and important. And in the past, that's how we used to view police. I say that because I'm also from the townships. And that's generally how the police were viewed, and that picture needs to change. However, it has to be said and added onto that it is not only one segment of the population that is going against the police. I've mentioned those videos of Leon Schuster, and we saw what happened, where people were just ready to beat up policemen just like that. And it was not just one segment of the South African racial grouping. It was just across board. I think your context is very important, and I take it because it is true to an extent. But now it is across the board. It is across the board. I mean, I don't want to speak about other cases such as BS Rue case and others, but it is literally across the board, and I don't want to make it a racial thing. I think all of us as South Africans must respect policemen. We must, and rightly so. Policemen must also carry themselves in a way that is becoming of people who are upholding law and order. That is also something that can be said, and the two do not necessarily contradict one another. I would love to hear from you on 0727021702. Let's go to Teresa from Northwest. Teresa, hi. Morning. Thanks for holding.
Hello, Thabo. How are you?
I'm great for hearing from you.
I'm always speaking on this channel. Why? Because I've walked many roads that you speak about there. So I want to speak on the issue of the children. from a teacher's point of view, now I'm farming, but from a teacher's point of view, I've been a teacher for many years, and I've even taught here in South Africa. So there is two sides to a coin. The first side is, in the school, there are children who are bullying teachers to a point that teachers would just want to out. And there's a code of conduct in the schools, and the children deliberately break that code of conduct.
Yeah.
And parents are called in. Parents do nothing about it. And children are suspended. These are the mitigatory measures. Children are suspended. They come back even worse. You see, and then they affect the whole school. And then these are the children who are looking on. They want to see what so-and-so did, what happened to him.
Yeah.
If there is nothing that happened to that one, these other children are going to follow suit to a point that the whole school becomes like a jungle.
Yeah.
And then teachers just want out. Principals just want out, but they've got bills to pay. On the second level, my recent school, I was there temporarily, and it turned my head upside down. It was just out of sorts in that school. You know, the children, the teachers literally cried in the school. The principal cried. All the mitigatory measures were done, but nothing helped. And I realized that some parents were actually behind their children's misbehavior.
Teresa, let's leave it at that. Thank you so much for your insights. And it sounds like you have traversed those spaces before. Sammy, you are in Centurion High.
Good morning, Thabo.
Good morning, Sammy.
So, children are a reflection of their reflection of the type of families that they come from. And people are forgetting one thing. Schools are there to teach. They are not there to instill discipline in your child. They are not psychologists. They are not whatever names whatsoever. So if your child is not able to abide to the school's code and disciplinary codes, they need to be kicked out. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
We need to look at it that way. This whole thing of saying that no, teachers are supposed to do this, that, and the other, and discipline my child. No, people need to understand this type. Parenting is a heavy responsibility. It's an institution in itself. That's why some of us don't have children, because we can't handle it.
Yeah.
We won't be able to handle the job of being a parent on top of having to go to work and so on. That's why some of us don't have children.
And I envy you. I really envy you, Sammy, because many of us don't make that decision. And people become emotional when they raise that subject, that if you do not have the wherewithal of being a parent, rather don't go that way. And people will be told about reproductive rights. I envy you for that, because people like me as well are very much useless at parenting. And I envy people like you who said, I'd rather not go that route because I don't have the capacity to, as opposed to some of us, and myself included, who are useless at parenting completely, you know. But Sammy, let's leave it at that, brother, and give others a chance. Shadrach is calling from Reimsech, my neck of the woods. Shadrach, hi, welcome.
Good morning, Thabo. How are you?
I'm trying my best, Shadrach. I'm fighting every single day to become a better person. How are you?
I'm good.
Mm.
Thabo, I want to comment on this issue of unruly school children. Yeah, Thabo, my take is that if as parents we're not careful enough, actually parents must realize and understand that the school is a public place whereby it's not only your children who are there to get taught. It's the whole community there, and then other children they actually are there to be taught. So if you have your children doing things around turning the place into an uncontrollable area, then becomes problematic, because now you're denying other children the chance to get schooled or taught. So parents, instead of making sure and helping the teachers that happens, now they start thinking about my child.
Yeah. Shadrach, let's leave it at that. Really appreciate your inputs, Shadrach from Ramsach, 15 minutes to 10.
Dreaming of your next getaway? Whether it's a sun-soaked beach escape, adventure-packed tour, or luxury cruise, Flight Centre is your go-to for travel. From flights and hotels to tours and cruises, we've got it all. Plus travel insurance for peace of mind. If you want the best deals, you can save more by taking advantage of our Bundle Plus Save offer. Plan your trip today at your nearest Flight Centre store or visit flightcentre.co.za. Flight Centre, your centre for travel.
When selling a car, there's nothing worse than a long, frustrating process. We Buy Cars knows life's short and time is precious. Sell your car within a day from wherever you find it convenient. Simply complete the online form and We Buy Cars will make it happen. Need a new ride? Explore thousands of vehicles online or in store. We Buy Cars, South Africa's trusted vehicle partner.
One festival, endless flavor, and 2 unforgettable days of timeless music. The DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, returns on 20 and 21 September at Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit. On Saturday, the stage erupts with Don Toliver, Questa, and Nkabi Zezwe. Then on Sunday, experience the legendary Lauryn Hill, Wyclef Jean, Lyra, and more. The DSTV Delicious Festival, powered by Lotto Star. Tickets at Ticketmaster.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6. Persistent speculation that there may be a move to remove South Africa from the SWIFT banking system.
Well, it would be a really tricky situation. We've seen what's happened in Russia, Iran, and others that have been sanctioned from the SWIFT system, and it's something that really wouldn't be good for our GDP. It wouldn't be good for our economic growth, and luckily it's seeming unlikely to actually happen.
The Money Show.
The Money Show.
On K-Talk.
Join the conversation.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa CIB, equipping you with efficient and secure cash management solutions for your business. Your story matters. Absa is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
7:02 indeed, 12 minutes to 10 o'clock. 072 702 1702.
Hi, Thabo. This is Thabo, do you remember the apartheid police regime?
Yeah.
We can say all we want about those police force. By the way, they were called police force, not police service. Yes, maybe they were a bit harsh, but one thing for sure, those guys, they know how to maintain or to keep law and order.
Yeah.
Maybe we feared them, but I seem to miss them now, because these policies that we have, honestly, were as good as no police. You may argue to say, no, we need to respect police officers and not fear them. For me, it makes no difference. If you're going to fear police and yet to still have order being maintained, for me, I'm good with that. Thanks, Thabo.
Thank you.
Hey, Thabo, morning, Tibos. This is Michael from Centurion. Yeah, my brother, just like to add on the issue of the people attacking the police. My brother, our police also are very, very corrupt. You know, it is embarrassing to find a policeman, they bribe them at the tuck shop of the illegal immigrants. They give them 20 rand. They bribe a whole police officer with 20 rand while we are watching, you know. So you can't compare our police with the police of China, like Russia. You know, they are very, very disciplined. Our police, they are rotten. They are like our leaders. Our leaders, they stinking rotten. Thanks. It's Michael from Centurion.
Good morning, Thabo. You know, you're asking a question about us respecting the police. The police work for us. Let's start there. They work for the citizens, not the other way around. And when you talk about authority that needs to be respected, how do you respect people who don't respect themselves? And they don't respect the very same citizen that they need to serve. This is a police service. They need to serve us. You go to the police station, they can't even help you correctly. There's policemen and women who have criminal records. There's policemen and women who are causing corruption every day, dealing with taxi drivers who are taking bribes, who are doing all, and yet you say you must respect them. That's an insult to the citizens. I will never respect you if you don't respect yourself. Even worse, you don't respect me, but I pay your salary with my tax. You pay your salary with the criminality that we are doing on the streets here. So respect the police in South Africa. Forget about it. They should start respecting themselves and respecting the citizens first. Thabo.
Good morning, Thabo in 702 land. You know, the guy that just spoke about respect, spot on. And I'll tell you why, Thabo. My incident was with a traffic officer who is an officer of the law. And this guy caught me speeding. It wasn't me personally. I used to have a driver and my driver was speeding. And he arrested my driver. And, you know, I remember we had such a good conversation with this guy and he took a genuine liking to me. And, you know, we went through to the police station. We did the process. We had to attend the court, whatever. And then he caught me again, the second time, speeding again. One of my other drivers speeding again. And he said to me, you know what, ma'am, I like you, but you know the drill. And again, we went to the police station. My driver was arrested, had to pay bail, all of that. I have such a profound respect for this man. I wasn't happy at the time because I lost money. But yeah, respect yourself and you will be respected. Palisa and Waterfall.
Palisa, and I agree with that. And there was a voice note prior to yours, Palisa. And I'd like to say this. One, we definitely, respect is reciprocal. It has to be exchanged and it has to go both ways, right? Let's dispense of that. But secondly, we need to stop the overgeneralization of policemen and any other people in their various professions or industries. It's like saying all soccer players are womanizers or they just love to have a good time. It's not true. It's a gross generalization that we need to disabuse ourselves of. One, there are many policemen who are not celebrated like they ought to be. And I'm surprised that policemen have not called in to protect the integrity of their office as well. Because even if you wanted to remain anonymous, I'm happy to take your call as a policeman because you're being trashed and being thrown with everyone else. There are great policemen whom every single day put their lives in jeopardy, at risk for you and I, every single day. Some of them die without us knowing. Some of them chase after criminals, and the fact that they haven't died does not mean that they don't put their lives on the line. We have to stop the overgeneralization. There are amazing policemen out there, and yes, there are scum policemen as well out there who are just an embarrassment to all of us. But this overgeneralization doesn't say much about us. I mean, if you're a lawyer, is it okay to say, all lawyers are liars, man. They eat people's money and they lie. Lawyers are just liars. Hey, doctors, they just... No, you can't say that. Oh, well, we must argue a little bit better. And I'm not protecting policemen at all. I have been in serious altercations on the road. The policeman would then be accosting me. And I've had that. I've really had that. And where I had fights with policemen over this, that, and I thought they were unfair. But nonetheless, it's not all policemen who are like that. And even if they were like that, there is no justification for murders of policemen. Assuming they were like that, all of them. So they must just be shot dead by criminals. No, I think we should do better. Let's do better. I'm not a spokesperson of the policemen. I think you know Brigadier Athlenda Mati is. So don't think that I'm coming to their rescue. But I'm just saying it can't be okay, this overgeneralization that is taking place, and we must just take it. It's not right at all. 5 minutes to 10 o'clock. Kutlwano in Midrand. Kutlwano, hi.
Hi, Thabo. In relation to give us South African giving respect to police, yes, we cannot paint them with the same brush, but the majority Thabo, they are so unprofessional. Thabo, in quotes, they are so useless, some of them. See them, kupakile izimoto kulamashop abo, my friend, baphuma lama-plastic. Visit the police station yasemidrand, I was shocked. Seeing them, abo my friend, basingenele laphayana, baphuma nama-senior policemen kuyo ezimotweni kubuya nama-plastic. Thabo, amaphoyisa wethu. We called them when we had issues. You know, they looked and were explaining what happened. They wanted us to help ourselves. Ziboneleni nizositshela ukuthi nisove kanjani. Bakhona ezimotweni. They will tell you ukuthi asikwazanga ukuya endaweni ethize because there were no transport to take us there. But you see them, bapake emagaraji, bathenga amatikiti wamalotho, bapake lapha emaceleni. Thabo, we travel, we see what is a police.
Yeah, Kutlwano, thanks very much for that. I agree that at some point we are exposed to that. And before you left, I wanted to ask you, if the policemen are so useless, why are our jails so filled with criminals? If they are so useless, no one is doing anything, right? According to some of you, no one is doing anything. There's crime everywhere. Why are our jails so flooded? The prisons are flooded. Who caught them? Did they hand themselves in? Because in the value chain of criminal justice system, the police must just go and make an arrest and intervene. That's where it starts. So why are prisons so full? The criminals have had a change of heart and they've just handed themselves in, and they've said, oh, okay, let's just march. And it can't be. It cannot be, guys. And Lelona policemen, say something for yourselves, man. Call in 011-883-0702. You are too quiet. Say something for yourselves. Call in, defend your honor. At least those who are good, call in. Of course, there are bad ones. No one is contesting that. There are terrible policemen out there, but there are also great ones. I mean, who just face the criminals head on. Let us know. 011-883-0702. 2 minutes to 10 o'clock.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
I'm Deirdre from Oakden. I've probably been listening to 702 for about 40 years. I listen most of the day, and I really can't imagine my life or my day without 702. I'm kept up to date with all the news, and I must say that I personally believe I hear the news before anybody else. When I hear it on 702, nobody else has heard it yet. And I'd just like to say, keep up the good work.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
It's the clarion call for the 26th Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. This year, plan your days wisely because we are pulling out all the stops. Jazz at Lincoln Center, featuring the legendary Wynton Marsalis, returns in triumph to the Sandton Convention Center on the 26th and the 28th of September 2025. But that's not all. Over 60 world-class acts light up 4 stages throughout the weekend. Actually, why choose? Treat yourself to the full experience. Grab all 3 days exclusively on Ticketmaster. Take me there.
Medical care, like music, needs continuity, a steady rhythm and pattern. Patients attended to on time. Medication taken as prescribed. Cut the rhythm, and it falls apart. Right now, global funding cuts are restricting access to healthcare. With your support, Doctors Without Borders can continue to provide medical care to communities worldwide. Because medicine, like music, only works when uninterrupted. Doctors Without Borders, we go there.
Backed by popular demand, legendary jazz icon Kenny G will be performing at the Super Bowl at Sun City on Friday, the 3rd of October. Get ready for an unforgettable night of timeless hits and pure musical magic. Get your tickets from webtickets.co.za. Brought to you by Breakout Events and 702.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. KwaZulu-Natal police have recovered 3 guns from a crime scene where 5 suspects were killed in the south of Durban. There was a gun battle between the gang and police at the Lusaka informal settlements in the early hours of this morning. Police spokesperson Robert Nichunda says the group was wanted for criminal activities.
A search is yet to be done thoroughly, but so far we have recovered 3 firearms. One of them looks to be a homemade gun. We believe that we might find more guns as we search the shack.
A wanted suspect linked to the 2020 murder of KwaZulu-Natal school principal Zwelabantu Zuma has been shot and killed in a gun battle with police. The 40-year-old was found at a hostel in Mapetla, Soweto yesterday. Police say he opened fire and officers retaliated, fatally wounding him. The suspect was wanted for several other cases, including carjacking and illegal possession of a firearm. Police spokesperson Atlenda Mate says the man was previously arrested, but the case was withdrawn until new evidence prompted a fresh warrant.
2 other accused in the case of the late principal are already serving life sentences, while 2 others died before being trialed. 1 suspect is still outstanding on this case, and we are still searching for this particular suspect.
In the Western Cape, some communities are calling for lockdowns or curfews to be put in place in a desperate bid to curb gang violence. Areas including Hanover Park, Mitchell's Plain and Kraaifontein have experienced a recent surge in deadly gang violence. Policing resources have been bolstered in gang-riddled communities with a sharp focus on the confiscation of illegal guns and ammunition. Lauren Isaacs takes a look.
Hanover Park is just one of Cape Town's communities pleading for desperate intervention amid a gang war in the area. The local community policing forum's Kashifa Mohammed says gangsters are holding residents hostage day and night.
We request a curfew or a lockdown so let this gang violence, it have to stop. Every day our people have to duck in time.
In Mitchell's Plain over the weekend, a community march was led by anti-crime group Pagat. Residents there are at their wits' end. At least 3 shooting incidents were reported in Athlone on Friday, including the murder of a man outside of the Athlone Magistrates Court. Lauren Isaacs, Eyewitness News.
Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating police corruption says it will announce a way forward by the end of the week as pressure mounts to hear from KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. The committee is tasked with investigating allegations of political interference in the criminal justice system and wants Mkhwanazi to be its first witness to testify. But his testimony must be coordinated with the Madlanga Commission, which is already in talks with him, raising questions about timing, access to statements, and how to avoid duplication. Mongezi Gogo reports.
KZN top cop Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi made damning claims earlier this year accusing senior political figures of interference in policing operations and corruption. The committee, led by Chair Soviet Lekhanyane, has appointed Advocate Norman Ardenser as evidence leader and is drawing up a witness list that could include ministers and senior police officials. Lekhanyane says the committee intends to work with the Madlanga Commission and not against it.
Before the end of this week, we should be able to announce what is the way forward. They expect us to cooperate with them, and we also need to get the cooperation of all the witnesses.
The panel has until October 31st to complete its work, a deadline that can only be changed by the Speaker of Parliament. Mongezi Gogo, Eyewitness News.
And a man in New Zealand who has been on the run with his 3 children for almost 4 years has been shot dead. Tom Phillips was fatally shot while police responded to an armed robbery in Western Waikato in the early hours of this morning. Police say one of his children was with him at the time of the shooting, but the child is unharmed. Officers are searching for his 2 other children in near freezing temperatures. Phillips' family had appealed to him to come home after he was recently spotted with a child during a grocery store break-in, which was caught on a CCTV camera. Gold is trading at $3,608.70 an ounce. The rand is at 17.53 to the dollar, 23.69 to the pound, 20.56 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.65 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the M2 West. This is right near the Crown Interchange coming out of Elof Street. An accident has been reported there. It's causing about a 20-minute hold-up. If you are traveling along this route, please try to avoid. You can still use routes like Joe Slovo Drive to try and navigate your way around the CBD this morning. If you are traveling on the N12, we've got some delays approaching the Kilulis Interchange coming out of Edenville Road.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. Johannesburg starting at 12 degrees, peaking at 27. Pretoria 13 and 29. Vereeniging 11 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. KwaZulu-Natal police have recovered 3 guns from a crime scene where 5 suspects were killed in a shootout in the south of Durban.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Six minutes after 10 o'clock. Thanks very much for joining us. You're on 702. I'm excited to be with you. In the previous hour, we had an open line and we were just reflecting on a number of things that are taking place in the country, including the Western Cape High Court judgment to overturn a decision of the school to expel those 2 children who had been found vaping. And we asked you as a parent, is that the right way to go about once you feel that the decision of the school was a bit harsh? You go to court and you defend your kids who have been found doing all these nasty things. I just don't know about that. I mean, I'm still reading some of your text messages that have come through on 0727021702. Like this one that says, Morning Tibos, when you call kids to order, they say, I'm going to tell my mom. The rotten behaviors are from parents who took a better life for all too far. Expulsion is extreme though, and this comes from an ex-teacher. So welcome, Thabo in for Clement. We're together till 12. 7 minutes after 10 o'clock. In this half hour, we are going to be looking at the G20 Summit, and you've heard quite a lot about it. We wanted to give it a different slant altogether. The Africa in the diaspora, what is their responsibility towards Africa in general, the advancement of the continent? On the backdrop of the G20 Summit, you do know that this is a very unique opportunity for Africa, South Africa, to host the G20. Everyone else will be here. The most important and influential leaders will have their eyes focused on Africa, even if they are not here physically. But this is an opportunity for us to put our best foot forward. But we need all hands on deck. What are some of the critical things that we could be looking at, especially given the Africa in the diaspora? 8 minutes after 10 o'clock.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
And with that, we welcome our guest, Monsieur Abdou Samb, who is Senegalese engineer, mathematician, and European Commission advisor on digital transformation. He's also advising the C20 Civil Organizations 20. Remember last week we spoke about the B20 and there's a C20, and we also spoke about the M20, which was the Media 20. And now we will be focusing on the C20, the civil society. We've heard quite a lot about G20 Summit, and now he's joining us right now here in the studios. Mr. Abdou Samb, welcome to 702. Lovely having you with us. Welcome to South Africa. You good?
Oh, I'm good. Good morning, Thabo. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you to your listener at home. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great stuff. I mean, I was reading your piece that you have penned about the importance of the G20 Summit in South Africa, and you are speaking about the role of the diaspora. Let's touch a little bit on that and connect the dots between the importance of the G20 Summit and the Africa in the diaspora. What is their responsibility as such?
African diaspora when I travel all around the world, I can say how African diaspora is excelling in international institution. You know, any institution, even biggest company in the world, when you go there, you find African or someone originally from Africa, not in the leadership position, meaning that we have the skills, we have the competence, and we know how to do. And when the environment is favorable, when it's about meritocracy, the environment of meritocracy, African elite are not behind. They are in the leadership position. And Africa diaspora is key because the greatest strength of Africa, of course, is our people. But the greatest challenge of the continent is leadership. Of course, it's also our responsibility as African to hold some to hold our leader accountable of the leadership.
Are we not doing enough of that as Africans? Are we not holding the leaders to account? Because we hear that a lot, that our leaders are letting us down on the continent. But recently, you would know, you are based in France and you're part of the diaspora, I'd like to assume. But there was an issue in Kenya where the young people stood up and rose against what they did not like. Here in South Africa, that happens. Do you feel that that's not enough, holding leaders to account?
I think we can do more than that. I deeply believe that in some country of Africa we have leaders, real leaders. Of course, in other countries we don't have leaders, we just have executive. But I believe that all those leaders in good faith, they just want to do their best when they come. And all of us, we need to be just make accountable of what we are doing every day. I'm sure you, Thabo, in the position you are, at the end of the day, you just have a meeting with the manager to just see how was your day, if you did well. Yes. And I guess it's our responsibility as African, because he's our continent. This continent owned to us, African. We could be able to just, at the end of the day, to sit with our leader and to ask them, what did you do for the interest of the people? It is the idea of democracy. And I guess we must call back this ideal of democracy. I want you to bear with me, Thabo, because I live in France since 30 years. You know, I speak French very well. French is my first language and Wolof is my second language. English is my third language, but I'm going to try my best to explain myself.
Sure. Most welcome. I speak le parler petit français. I speak very little French, so don't worry.
Okay. That's great. I guess it's our responsibility to just organize ourselves as, I can say, a third power, which is the civil society, which is with these youth, this diaspora, this woman, all those forces of the African, just to make our leader accountable every day, just to put pressure on them and ask them, what did you do for the interest of the country? What did you do for the interest of the continent? What did you do for the interest of the people? And it will be never enough.
Yes.
It will be never enough.
I want you to explain to us now on civil society. What role can civil society play? And the meetings that civil society must have around the G20 Summit. Because you are suggesting that civil society can help to hold our leaders accountable. We have seen some of those in South Africa, but on the G20 scale, how does it pan out? What have you guys been thinking about in that space of C20?
Oh, I was appointed 2 weeks ago as a senior advisor of the C20, and since a few weeks I'm reading about this idea of civil society, because as many people, I didn't know much about this idea before I highlight it and try to understand what it's about. And it is about an organization of people with skills, with competence, working together in the ideal. And what the C20 is doing is really interesting because they have some key thematics, starting from youth to woman to environment, and they just want to come and in this agenda of the G20 with a paper to the leader and to give the ideas they have for our continent. And this one is really key and is really important. I want to take just one part of this civil society which I'm part of. It is the diaspora. You are aware that in the IFC, which is the International Financial Corporation, which is part of the World Bank, is led by an African guy, which is Makhtar Diop from Senegal, my homeland. I'm really proud of my brother Makhtar because to have an African in that position, leading one of the most influential financing institutions in the world, is a pride for our continent. And he's doing well.
Yeah.
He's doing really well. We need to just organize as a diaspora, all this elite of the diaspora. I'm speaking about the diaspora because I'm a member of the diaspora.
Yes.
This could be the same in every country to organize ourselves and come with an agenda in this with some ideas, some insight, and just to share it with with the C20 because it is a platform that we can use to express ourselves in this biggest opportunity for our continent to just have in the soil of our continent for the first time 20 of the most powerful leaders of the world.
Sure.
It's a bless, and we must seize it.
17 minutes after 10 o'clock, you're on 702 Thabo in for Clement. We're together till 12. Abdou Samb is my guest, and he advises the C20, which is a broader aspect of the G20 Summit that will be taking place in November, and we have been talking about this for quite some time. Civil society, it could be that you are from the civil society, but most importantly, it could be that you are from the African diaspora and you are looking at your continent, your people from afar. Could be that you are in France, you are in Russia, and wherever else, and you're part of the African diaspora, and you are thinking, what is my contribution to the continent as it hosts this very important event, and how do we leverage out of that? And how do I, as an African in the diaspora, contribute meaningfully to the advancement of my home? I'd love to hear from you and the challenges that are facing civil society as well. Feel free to call us on 011-883-0702. Alternatively, send us a voice note on 072-702-1702, 18 after 10.
Do you know what's hiding behind the colorful packaging of unhealthy food? Big food companies target children with unhealthy packaged foods that hide high levels of sugar, salt, and fat, which could lead to heart disease, diabetes, and hypertension. But the truth is hidden from consumers. Front of package warning labels are a proven solution to help consumers make informed decisions. The government must act now. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front of package warning labels. Sign the petition on heala.org, HEALA.org, by the 30th of September.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
The South African Future Trust Summit is fast approaching. This premium entrepreneurial showcase will return to Sandton Convention Center on 5th and 6th November, with international and local speakers sharing groundbreaking insights from their entrepreneurial journeys. It's an unmatched opportunity to network with like-minded entrepreneurs, innovators, investors, and change makers with 2,000 plus delegates and over 200 exhibitors, all under one roof. Come and experience the extraordinary world of thriving entrepreneurs and business owners. Avoid missing out. Get your ticket now from 1,800 rands each for the 2 days at summit.southafricanfuturetrust.org in partnership with 702.
702
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
We are speaking about Africa capitalizing on the 2025 G20 Summit through its diaspora. My guest, Abdou Samb, is my guest joining me and reflecting on some of these issues. He had penned a piece about where Africa should go, especially Africa in the diaspora, in contributing effectively to the advancement of the continent on the backdrop of the G20 Summit. Abdou, you are saying in your piece something that I found very interesting, that 30% of the world's critical minerals, from cobalt and lithium to graphite and manganese, essential for semiconductors, AI hardware, and electric vehicle batteries. Yet, we capture only 10% of the revenue exporting raw materials that power the US-China-Taiwan chip war. That, I think, speaks about the potential that we have that we are not using as the continent. How do we connect that with the diaspora to make sure that we leverage from that?
New AI. I want you to keep this word because it will be something really key in the following years and also for the future of the continent. New AI, like new African innovation. It's a concept that I'm working on and I'm promoting, and for me is the key. You are aware that the Silicon Valley is playing a key role in the world because of this ecosystem of innovation, which is really, in French we say fertile. The new AI is our opportunity, as African, to play a really key role in the future of our continent, and also to capture not 10%, but 100% of the wealth of our continent. What is about this idea of AI? The idea of AI is the perfect alchemy between human, environment, and technology. You are aware that in the innovation in general, people are, especially in the Western world, they are really focused in this technology, is more technology. And all those African thinkers of the 20th century, they wrote a lot about the difference between European, Western people and African people. And the difference is here, and it's really key. This difference is that the Western people, they try to dominate the environment. And we can say it, and they are doing really well. But the difference, and why our continent is so wealthy and so beautiful, because African people, they consider themselves as part of the environment. And this one, what must drive a paradigm switch and bring in this idea of an innovation, the environment. And I guess Africa, especially South Africa, especially Johannesburg and South Africa, just allow me to open this window for a few seconds about your beautiful country. I do business here since some times. And when I'm in South Africa as a businessman, I don't feel that I'm doing business in Africa. I just feel that I'm doing business in the world, because this country is open to the world. And I guess what we must do as African, is just to join our forces to make in Africa the epicenter of the new African innovation. And we can do it from here.
Are we
in
not
South
doing
Africa.
that right now?
I don't think so. I've read a lot. I did some research, and I didn't find this idea of this paradigm of approaching innovation, not from the technology side, but from these three. I think there is a really interesting example, and this example is interesting because we are leading the world in this technology, which is the mobile payment, which is the African technology.
Yes.
Yeah. This idea of this technology came from the fact that the banking system is not really developed in our continent, but people need to exchange, to interact. But all African people have a phone, and they found a way to use phone to make payment. And now we are just the number one in the world on that, and it's expanding, meaning that we can just come with a new approach. And with this new AI, I guess I truly believe that we can just find a way to use our environment, to use the technology, to use also our skills, especially this use, to build a sustainable model, that we will be the leader in the world.
How do we present that? How do we package that? The ideas that you've spoken about, that we need to work together and bring the skills from outside the continent to propel the continent forward for purposes of Africa to thrive. How do we package that for the G20 Summit, practically speaking, when all eyes are on the African soil in South Africa, and sell it to the world?
Collaboration. You are aware that I am advisor in the European Commission in terms of innovation policies, and what I see and what this environment is so interesting, because they are doing well in terms of job creating, in terms of innovation, in terms of startup.
Yeah.
Because this approach of collaborative project, and I guess we just think about a model of a Pan-African collaborative project. Just identify some key sectors.
Yeah.
The first one could be agriculture. The second one would be this fin in insurance tech.
Yeah.
There is many of them.
Yeah.
And we just make a kind of call for proposal and make some African startups from different countries, minimum 4 countries.
Let me ask you this before we say goodbye, because we're going to run out of time in the next 2 minutes. Do you think, having worked where you are working as an advisor of the European Union and various other international spots that you occupy, does the international world take Africa seriously?
It's a very interesting question. It's a very, very interesting question. Let me put it this way. Is those people see Africa has a land of opportunities where they just come and take and leave? Or maybe, or if they take it seriously, I think they must take us seriously. Because in 2015, we will be the largest population of the world.
Large, but we can't exploit the opportunities that you've mentioned of cobalt, of lithium. They coming and taking them and reselling them to us as finished products. We cannot beneficiate as we ought to. And it's 2025. We've been having the same arguments. Is Africa's destiny to be just the consumer as opposed to be the producer to the world?
It's our responsibility as an elite, to you, to me, to all those Africans, to change this paradigm. We are going to change. We must change this. We must change and switch from consumer to producer. We just have the market. We need no one else.
Yeah.
We just can do it. It's our responsibility to change these things, to switch from the consumer to the producer.
Sure.
And I truly believe that we can make it.
Yeah. How important, lastly, is it for Africans in the diaspora, having amassed some investments and some resources internationally, to come back and plant and use those resources and plant them back on the continent? In 30 seconds, how do we do that?
I think all Africans just want to come back in the continent.
Yeah.
And I've set up a foundation, Abdou Samb Foundation. One of the key role of the foundation is just to work in the system, to promote the system, will make the environment more favorable for African diaspora to come back in the continent and to give back what and share what they've learned all around the world.
Yeah. Abdou, we have to leave it at that. Really appreciate your time. We should talk again in the future and give it more time. Abdou Samb is my guest, and he advises the European European Commission, and is also an advisor of the C20, which is part of the broader G20 Summit. It's exactly 10:30. Sfiso Zulu standing by with Eyewitness News headlines. Sfiso, hi, good morning. What's the latest?
Thanks, Thabo. Good morning. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has commended the KwaZulu-Natal Police Political Killings Task Team for the arrest of suspects that were wanted in connection with the murder of a whistleblower, Xolani Ntombela. This murder case is part of 121 dockets that have recently been returned to the task team to continue with investigations. The dockets were returned to the team last week, and officers have swiftly arrested a 55-year-old local chief and a 23-year-old hitman for the 2022 murder. President Cyril Ramaphosa says he agrees with the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council that institutional reform is necessary to root out corruption that has flourished in public institutions. Dedicating his weekly newsletter to the fight against corruption, Ramaphosa points out that it's not only in government that corruption is rife. He says tax evasion, market manipulation, inflated contracts and tender collusions by businesses are all causing significant harm to the economy, but receive less attention than corruption within the state. And Gauteng teenagers are set to benefit from an HPV single-dose vaccination campaign across all schools in the province today. The Gauteng Health Department says this initiative is aimed at reducing the risk of cervical cancer in young girls. Health Department spokesperson Mutala Modiba assures parents that the vaccine is both safe and effective. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, traveling on the M2 West in Selby, we've got a major accident scene. This one is reported right near the Crown Interchange. It's causing heavy delays coming out of Heidelberg Road. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling in Devland, we still have got delays on the Golden Highway between the N1 and Union Avenue. This is due to the long-term roadworks that are taking place right along this route, so do expect delays. If you are traveling on the N1 South towards Midrand, some delays approaching Olifantsfontein Road, and then heading towards the city of Tshwane via the R21. Do expect delays due to roadworks taking place right near Nalmepius Drive, bound to cause delays. And of course, we still have got some delays on the N12 between the Edenville Road exit and the Kilulis interchange. Please be on the lookout there and keep it safe on the roads. More updates at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the G20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Mr. Govender, congrats on the retirement. You just sold your car to Rebuy Cars. Tell us about it.
Yes, it just gathered dust in the garage, so I exchanged it for cold hard cash. Now my wife and I can enjoy a stress-free retirement.
Retiring the car as you retire. Nice. So why Rebuy Cars?
It was so quick. They came over to our house to do the evaluation, and we sold it the same day. Tops, man.
Okay, so now you got even more time on your hands, eh?
Exactly.
Rebuy Cars. Geared for your next chapter geared for you.
The BCCSA is calling for nominations. Do you know someone with broadcasting expertise? Nominate them to serve as a commissioner for a 4-year term starting 1 January 2026. Send a short CV and motivation to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. Nominations close 19 September 2025. Visit www.bccsa.co.za for more info.
For more about 702,
go to primemediaplus.com.
25 minutes to 11 o'clock. Thanks very much for joining us. In the previous hour, we were speaking about the C20 of the G20, and it stands for civil societies. Abdou Samb was my guest, and we're just generally touching base on a number of issues regarding the responsibility of Africans in the diaspora to help the continent maximize from opportunities that may emanate from the G20 Summit. And these individuals, in many instances, who've made it very big elsewhere, they come from the continent, they still identify with Africa, and how can they really contribute towards the advancement, having gained experience, expertise elsewhere, and to a large extent amassed some resources. How do they help us and bring those resources back here? And by resources, I'm not just referring to money, but I'm also talking about human capital, the knowledge economy as well. How do they grab that and assist us to move forward? I'm just wary about that, because one of the critical things that we need to do is to have all hands on deck at the present moment. And I did not necessarily want to touch on the current controversies that are facing us in South Africa regarding people from the continent, our continent, and our neighbors. Because at times it just clouds the issues and makes them very murky. But there's something to be said about collaboration as we stand together as Africans and say, how do we move forward? How do we get the attention of these large countries, influential countries, and not as a favor, but as trade partners, as equals around the table, saying that we have all these minerals, we have all these things. Speak to us as partners, and not go there with a begging bowl, but to say, how do we leverage? I mean, you've seen the issues of the diamonds in Botswana that has taken place, and you know what's been happening in Kenya as well, but also on our continent, in our country as South Africa. How do we say, take us seriously? Take us seriously. Take us seriously. I'd love to hear from you with that, but that was our discussion in the past few minutes or so. Now 23 minutes to 11 o'clock.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
The Gauteng Finance MEC Lebogang Maile says that 14 of the 19 provincial government entities achieved clean audits. He announced the 2024-2025 Gauteng provincial government audit outcomes yesterday. However, the Gauteng provincial government departments incurred 4.2 billion rand in new irregular expenditure, and in the 2024-2025 financial year. He's also expressed concern over the health and education departments, which regressed in the audit findings. He joins us right now on the line, MEC of Finance in Gauteng, Mr. Lebogang Maile. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to 702. Good morning.
Good morning, and thanks for having me, Thabo.
Health seems to be a regular culprit when coming to the audits. I wanted us to kick off with that so that we can go to other issues, MEC. This has been repetitive. Is there any particular reason that you have found to be propelling health to be a naughty child in a classroom?
The Department of Health has not regressed. It has actually remained stagnant in our report in terms of their audit outcome. They got an unqualified. Education regressed from clean to unqualified. That's what we're saying. However, with health, we're saying they were not non-compliant across the different areas. Meaning, if you are audited for finance, for supply chain, for HR, for all those areas, in other departments they are non-compliant in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 and all that. That's the point we're making, and that's why we are concerned about it, and we are working with the department to solve it. But they have not regressed;
Sure.
They just remain stagnant. Yeah.
And let's take perhaps 2 steps back, if we were to regress ourselves a little bit, if you will. Just to, again, go a little bit elementary so that we have everyone else on board on this conversation. Generally, an audit would be looking at the financial health system, and it would examine if processes have been followed to the T, and there would be clean audits, there'd be qualified, unqualified audits to that respect, right? And you are pointing out here that there have been 14 of the 19 departments that have achieved clean audit. Maybe let's dispense of the definitions first for purposes of everyone being on board. A clean audit would mean that you have been following proper financial procedures in order for you to run the departments, pay your debts, pay the suppliers, and maintain a good balance sheet.
Well, clean audit will mean that the financial statements of if they audit a department, they will call you an auditee, are free of what they call material misstatements. So, and there are no material findings on the report. So, if you like, you can say everything is perfect. Unqualified audit means that the annual financial statements contain no material misstatements, but there will still be findings. So, meaning you are fine, you are doing well, you are within the law and all that. However, there might be 1 or 2 things that you are not doing well. Then qualified audit means that you have not done well. Therefore, the Auditor General does not give you a thumbs up. And then adverse opinion, it means there is a problem with a whole range of issues that, for instance, it means there's misstatements that are not confined to specific amounts, or the misstatements represent a substantial portion of the financial statements. Then there's a disclaimer, meaning now the AG says, I can't even express an opinion, like this is horrible. So that's what the different experts. So the Department of Health and Education, they have unqualified, meaning that they are fine, but there are findings that they will have to follow up and rectify. Hence, the Auditor General makes recommendations when they give us the audit report.
I wanted to get there, and some of those audit findings highlight a lack of consequence management, wherein accounting officers are failing to implement recommendations from investigations. And why is there such reluctance or failure to act against officials who flout these regulations year after year?
Well, the Auditor General says consequence management remained at about 50%, meaning there is action, but it's not enough. So it's not like there is no action. So I think that's what is important. There is action. That's what the AG says, but we have to have it as 100%. So there are delays in certain accounting officers, which are HODs, and you would have seen 2 months back or 3 months, the Premier moved them around and also relieved certain officials of duties and reassigned them and all that. It's part of making sure that we are responsive and we act where necessary. So we are at the level, at least, of the executive, which is the Premier and the MECs have been doing our part in making sure that we implement the decisions of the Auditor General. We are meeting with the Auditor General regularly to give them feedback, to also get advice from them. And that's why we are highlighting this to say we are aware of it and we are doing something about it. But to say it's not happening, it's not true, because it's just 50%, which is not satisfactory. we want 100%.
And that's why I emphasize that. I mean, when you look at the Department of Human Settlements, amongst others, it received the unqualified audit opinion with findings mainly due to non-compliance with laws and regulations. So it could be that you are getting an unqualified report outcome. However, there are critical things of non-compliance, critical issues of non-compliance that really compromise the integrity of your financial mismanagement. But you could easily still fall under unqualified report, right? An unqualified audit could be classified as that. So those are, I think, we need to reflect on that, MEC, because the loopholes are just too many. Let me make a very practical example. You can still get a qualified report or outcomes whilst having serious issues with not complying to certain regulatory processes and regulations within the department, but it will come out as unqualified. Well, what are you doing about that? How are you making sure that you go through this with a tooth comb in order for officials not to escape repercussions and consequence management under a broader umbrella of unqualified report?
The Auditor General has got credibility and integrity. So once they express an opinion and said that you have an unqualified, there's no need for anyone to doubt the outcome because they go through a rigorous process. It's not easy. The people who have done that that exercise will tell you it's not easy. It's very difficult, and that's why the recommendations of the AG must also not be taken for granted. And that's why the AG also says, okay, you are unqualified, but look at 1, 2, 3, 4, or we're not happy with 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you have to improve controls, you have to put a plan of action, you have to monitor it, you have to implement consequence management. And consequence management, by the way, doesn't only mean firing people. Consequence management might mean reprimand, might mean suspend, might mean any other thing and all that. So all those things are done, and then they are, because you've got different departments. There's about 14 all in all, with different, and every department has got an executive authority, which is the MEC, and then it has an accounting officer, which is an HOD. So those things that the AG raises are things that the accounting officer has to do. And when the accounting officer don't do their work, the executive authority must also act in helping the accounting officer to be efficient and to be competent. And if they are not responding positively, then you can charge them and then dismiss them or remove them or whatever.
Yes.
So it's not like nothing is happening, as I'm saying. So there's a lot of work that is happening, and that's why we're saying to you, this is the outcome. The AG has looked at the matters for the last year, and they are saying this is where we are.
And MEC, no one is saying nothing is happening. I think I'm also not saying that nothing is happening, but we are also pointing at things that could be improved upon, because we can't sweep them under the carpet.
No, definitely.
And, so no one is saying nothing is happening, and I'd be completely wrong to say that. Okay, so but here's a very interesting concession that you make. And perhaps you may not see it as a concession nonetheless, but you do mention that across departments that received unqualified audits, non-compliance with expenditure management and supply chain management laws and regulations was common. And this speaks to the ethos, the culture, the blatant nature of being nonchalant as far as adhering to very strict regulations that ought to be safeguarding the expenses of the department.
Yeah, we can't defend wrong things, Thabo. So it's not even a concession, it's a fact. It's there, it has been found. And if you don't identify it as a problem, it means you're not going to solve it.
Yeah. How rampant is it?
So
how rampant is it?
Well, it depends from department to department. You've got a Department of Health that will have, let's say, 32 different institutions in it. Their budget is 60 billion. Then you've got a Department of Sports that has got a R1 billion budget. So the amount of activities in health and they vary. So it will vary from one department to next to them, and sometimes and the fact, by the way, Thabo, that you've got out of 14 departments, only one qualified department, which is Department of Sports. All of them are unqualified. So it means. Generally, the state of governance and management of finances and all that generally is okay. And then you've got 8 of those with clean audit. Then you've got our entities. What do you know as state-owned companies? We have about 19 of them. 14 of them have got clean audits, and only one of them has got a disclaimer.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is I don't want to come here and defend this. No, I'm not going to defend wrong things. Wrong things must be sorted. And I'm saying we have identified where there's a problem, we're acting, and that's why one of the things we're saying must be done is to digitize our systems, so that we have
paper trail,
an everlasting solution to the problem.
Yeah, I just want to bring this to your attention, right? I think last week, sometime, as we were reflecting on the prospective outcomes of the audit, and also looking at the Department of Health having to acquire linen or procure linen, I should say, and various other things that they need in the department. There was a very interesting caller that came through, and I'm just making sure that we can draw a direct connect between the audit and what the ordinary consumer, who ought to be all of us, are getting. A person called in and they said to be a supplier of the Department of Health, and they said the linen that is now running out in the hospitals is simply because when it was taken to the laundry, to the laundromat for cleaning, washing, and all sorts of stuff, it remained there because the department did not pay on time, and they would wait for 6 months plus before they receive their payment. So as a result, a number of these service providers would then resort to keeping the hospital's linen hostage in order to get their payment. And so when that happens, the department then must procure new linen, whilst they have linen stuck somewhere in the value chain with suppliers, with service providers. How do you reconcile that with the numbers that you've given us and the lack of adherence to regulations that we've been speaking about, MEC?
Well, did you get the Department of Health to respond to that? Because that's a very, very serious situation. That
we invited them to speak. Yeah, we invited them at the time to say, come and speak to this. But now I'm asking you overall that these are the issues that are contributing towards the audits that are unfavorable that we are touching upon.
Yeah, what I'm saying, the reason I'm asking if they have responded or not is because there will be issue. I mean, each department will have its own unique circumstances, So when you say I must then give you an overall, that's why I would want to, we can zoom into health and say, okay, let's talk about health or let's talk about education and all that. But overall, the AG has said there are issues related to supply chain. The AG has said we are paying, as Gauteng government, about 97% of our suppliers are paid within 30 days, and then it raised the issue of health at about 37%. So there is a relationship between audit and the activities that have been taken there. And of course, there has to be a balance between the audit outcomes and the service delivery. We want clean audit, we want proper management of finances, but we also want quality service delivery. So there has to be that balance all the time. And that's what we are doing. So I know, don't try to put me in a corner. I'm
not trying to do anything. No, I'm trying to put things as they are. I did say we had but we said I did say we had callers. It's not I didn't go look for it.
I don't have a
So allow me to ask you this, because we're going to run out of time.
No, I don't have a problem.
Yes.
I don't have a problem.
I'm not trying to put you in a corner.
No, we're having a conversation.
Yes.
So what I'm saying, I'm giving you the facts as they are. And don't worry, I'm not going to try and defend wrong things. And that's why when you raise the issue of health, it actually worries me as well, and that's why I'm asking, did they come and respond?
No, they didn't.
We've got a responsibility to account to the public.
Okay, so they didn't. They didn't come to respond. So no one is we're asking questions as they have come out. I don't have any interest in putting you in a corner. People need clarity out there, and we need to do that. But lastly, I want us to genuinely reflect on the issue of payments. You've just said 97%, and I don't necessarily have the numbers in front of me, but clearly, a number of service providers, including the ones that I've mentioned who called in live on air, are complaining about not just the Department of Health, but not being paid on time. And could it be that 97% perhaps covers only invoices that fall within a certain criteria? Because it seems somehow incongruent with pragmatics on the ground about 97% of service providers being paid on time within 30 days, as you have said.
I said in the Department of Health we were sitting at
37%. Yes.
Yeah, which we have known, and even the MEC of Health has been very concerned about it. And there's the issues of accruals that they are dealing with, which we are helping them to do. But I can tell you with confidence and without any fear of contradiction, the figure that the AG has and that is provided is what is the situation in our province. We pay. I mean, give me any service provider who says I'm owed and that money is not disputed. Because sometimes people say they're owed and you find that the money is disputed by the department and then it takes longer. So give me any department where you say I know Thabo and give me that information and I will definitely.
How do we send it to you?
The treasurer.
How do we send it to you?
Well, my email address is lebogang with a G .maile @gauteng.gov.za. lebogang.maile@gauteng.gov.za.
Okay.
And I mean, this health has got its and as it's stated here, which we are dealing with. I'm saying with any other department. Sure. To actually prove that this figure is wrong. We will definitely want that, because and we don't have a problem with people pointing out weaknesses and problems, because it helps us to do our job.
Yes.
So if people don't tell us that this is not happening or what you are saying is not true and all that, it makes our work difficult, because we might think we're doing well when in fact we are not. So that's why I'm saying. There's my email address.
MEC, thanks for your frankness and thanks for availing yourself. It means the world to us. So of course, we need to bring these issues up. And you heard the MEC has given you the email address. If you haven't been paid by any other department except the health department, send him the email and perhaps with that invoice and the PO, maybe you'll get some help. 2 minutes to 11.
Running a business is tough. You need tools that just work. That's why more South African businesses are switching to Mac. At iStore, we make it easy with 4,000 rands in added value when you switch. That's 3 years extended warranty and remote tech support, leaving you to focus on everything else. Switch to Mac with iStore, your expert partner. T's and C's apply. Mac at iStore runs smooth as business should.
When I say insurance, you say pineapple. Insurance.
Pineapple.
Insurance.
Pineapple.
Insurance.
Pineapple.
Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring Netcare. The group CEO, Dr. Richard Friedland, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has commended the KwaZulu-Natal Police Political Killings Task Team for the arrests of suspects that were wanted in connection with the murder of a whistleblower, Xolani Ntombela. This murder case is part of 121 dockets that have been recently returned to the task team to continue with investigations. The dockets were returned to the team last week, and officers have swiftly arrested a 55-year-old local chief and a 23-year-old hitman for the 2022 murder. Ntombela was shot and killed in 2022 inside his homestead in KwaZulu-Natal. Police spokesperson Atlenda Mate.
Ntombela was murdered for exposing the illegal sales of land in the Mpopeni area in Howick. So the local chief and the hitman are appearing before the Howick Magistrate Court this morning, and they face a number of charges, including conspiracy to commit murder as well as possession of unlicensed firearms and ammunition. General Fani Masemola is really encouraged and impressed with the turnaround time and the swift arrest following the return of the dockets.
Staying in KwaZulu-Natal, police have recovered 3 guns from a crime scene where 5 suspects were killed in the south of Durban. There was a gun battle between the gang and police at the Lusaka informal settlements in the early hours of this morning. Police spokesperson Robert Nichunda says the group was wanted for criminal activities.
A search is yet to be done thoroughly, but so far we have recovered 3 firearms. One of them looks to be a homemade gun. We believe that we might find more guns as we search the shack.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says he agrees with the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council that institutional reform is necessary to root out corruption that has flourished in public institutions. Dedicating his weekly newsletter to the fight against corruption, Ramaphosa points out that it's not only in government that corruption is rife. He says tax evasion, market manipulation, inflated contracts and tender collusion by businesses are all causing significant harm to the economy, but they receive less attention than corruption within the state. Lindsay Dentlinker takes a look.
After 3 years of work, the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council recently handed over its report to President Cyril Ramaphosa, recommending the need for an independent anti-corruption body to be known as the Office of Public Integrity. Part of its mandate would be to prevent corruption from happening in the first place. Ramaphosa says it's evident from the work of the council that the fight against corruption involves the dismantling of patronage systems that have become entrenched over many years. In this week's newsletter, Ramaphosa has lauded law enforcement agencies for the arrests and convictions of corruption accused, but says the corruption fight is a complex one that prevents corruption. The president says it's necessary to fix systems that have facilitated corruption and to build transparent, accountable and ethical institutions. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
And Gauteng teenagers are set to benefit from an HPV single-dose vaccination campaign across all schools in the province today. The Gauteng Health Department says this initiative is aimed at reducing the risk of cervical cancer in young girls. According to the Cancer Association of South Africa, this is the second most common cancer among women in the country. Health Department spokesperson Motalatale Modiba assures parents that the vaccine is both safe and effective.
This life-saving initiative highlights the importance of immunizing girls before the age of 15 as early protection significantly reduces the risk of developing cancer of the cervix or the mouth of the womb later in life.
Gold is trading at $3,608.70 an ounce. The rand is at 17.53 to the dollar, 23.69 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.65 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident reported on the M2 West in the Selby area, causing heavy traffic volumes just as you come out of Heidelberg Road. There was also queuing traffic on the N1 North towards Waterfall area. This is due to an accident near the Baku interchange, causing delays.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 29 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has commended the KwaZulu-Natal Police Political Killings Task Team for the arrest of suspects that were wanted in connection with the murder of a whistleblower, Xolani Ntombela.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7.
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Six after 11, you're on 702, Thabo in for Clement. Thanks very much for staying with us here on 702. Really appreciate it. Don't go anywhere. In the previous half hour, we had a chat with the Minister, with the MEC of Finance in Gauteng, Mr. Lebogang Maile, and we're looking at the Gauteng Provincial Government audit outcomes. And they were saying that 14 of 19 provincial entities achieved clean audits. And I tried to canvass this idea that the fact that the outcome says clean does not necessarily mean that everything else is according to how it should be. And we had a chat also with the MEC about a number of service providers that are not paid. And he was saying that generally the Auditor General found that in Gauteng, 97% of invoices are settled within 30 days. It could be that this is just purely anecdotal, but for me it just doesn't sound okay. A number of people call us and tell us that they have their outstanding invoices and it's been weeks, it's been months, it goes on. But he committed himself. He said if you have any of those, you need to send him an email and he will follow up, as long as it's not from the health department, because that's a separate process altogether, given that within the health department in Gauteng, the number of, the percentages of invoices that are honored in 30 days would be at 37%. This really says a lot. This really says a lot. I mean, I can just imagine if you're a service provider and you haven't been paid for days and days and days on end, how do you survive? Such things kill small businesses. They mess up your operations. You shut down and they increase that unemployment queue and extend it to the 1994 election queues that we remember so well. 18 after 11. When we come back, Family Matters.
702.
Family Matters.
The idea of blended families is not new at all. We have seen movies about it. We've heard stories being told about it. And this is becoming increasingly common in South Africa as more parents remarry or enter into new relationships. They'll be bringing about children. They'll be bringing children from different households together under one roof. And while these families can offer love, one would also argue stability, new bonds, they can present some interesting challenges and they can bring about problems of their own. This would include from adjusting, I can just imagine, from adjusting to new parenting style, to managing different expectations, because you literally have two families coming together. But they have a very strange bond. And it could be that two members of those families were once intimate partners before. Now they're no longer that, and the relationship would have changed. So are you in a blended family? Are you in a blended family, and how are you adjusting to it? Coming together, you go on holiday together, your mom's family, your dad's family, they were together, but they're no longer together. But now you must go all out together to holidays, have dinner, and visit each other. That must be some work. That must be some work. And there are people who are making it work, by the way. So I wanted to find out from you if you are in that family and how is it going for you. Parenting and family dynamics expert is joining us, Thuto Lepoto, for this discussion. Thuto, thanks for your time. Welcome to 702. Good morning.
Morning, Thabo. Thank you so much for having me, and good morning to your listeners as well.
Please explain to an idiotic person like myself that how does a blended family work? I see problems more than opportunities, but that's why you're here, to show us all these other existing sides. How does it work, and why are we seeing more of them in South Africa today than before?
Thank you so much, Thabo. So blended families can work. Let's raise the hope of our listeners and our community and our society. Blended families can work. If you reverse and you look back in the days when we were brought up by our grandmothers, we were brought up by our grandfathers, we were actually brought up in blended families. We were brought up in families where it was the uncle's child here, who's my cousin, and this and that one and that one and that one. We are all brought up in a blended family. So blended family worked. We are who we are today. Many of us, a greater percentage of people are coming from the hands of blended families. So it's important for us to understand and lay that foundation to not scare people and think that this is something that cannot be done, or think that this is something that is not manageable. But blended families can work.
Yeah, but Thuto, there are different types, I would assume, right? You are mentioning exactly. a different type of blended families. Of course, we are raised by our uncles that buy us bicycles, myself as well, our aunts that be involved. But to be more specific, where there were a couple and the couple separated, and one part of that created their family and the other one created their family, and the common denominator would be their offsprings. The dynamics are a little bit different in that setup.
Yeah, completely different. But hence, that's what I was coming to with regards to the context that now we are coming into of our country, South Africa. If you look at the context of South Africa, looking at it from that perspective of two people coming together, and in most cases these days, these two people, it's now become common that one has their own children, or a child being male, and the other female also is coming into the relationship, also has their own child or children. So in that context, it is workable, it is manageable, it is possible to have a healthy blended family. But the biggest problem, or the starting point where I've found that we miss it quite a lot, is when we don't prepare for the blended family that we're intending to establish. That's where the biggest problem starts. That's the first hurdle that many couples need to look at and really take seriously, to make sure that they spend time analyzing and dissecting this establishment that they're intending to have, and understanding the systems and the structures that are needed and required to have that particular blended family work efficiently. Because omitting the preparation stage is what then gives rise to so many issues that we see in these blended families. You find people are in conflict because of this and that. And these are all factors that could have been dealt with at preparation stage, where we are analyzing what is it that we want to establish, who's involved in this, what needs to be done, what type of systems that we need to have in place to ensure that we are able to achieve what we need to achieve. For instance, Thabo, if you look into the context of our country in South Africa, one of the reasons why we are having such a rise in the number of blended families, number one, it's the change in the family norms. values, family values, the value that we have for family is different. It's quite complex today, unlike before. Before, you would find that people valued family. That, for instance, people would fight to keep family together. People will fight to make sure that the family thrives. But today, because of so many complex issues, people don't hold on to family that much like we did before. And that becomes a factor that leads us to blended families where people separate. They go different ways. And by the time they're already children, and we find blended families. Secondly, it could be divorce as well. Divorce is also a part of that. Divorce is a significant reason why we see blended families, because divorce is not a prison. So once people divorce, people still want to continue with their lives. They still want to build. They still want to establish institutions, family institutions that they dream of outside of their previous relationship. So they still want to continue. And in that manner as well, you'll find blended families. And also you'll find blended families because of reason of this, it's really staggering in South Africa, cohabitation. There is now a trend that we have seen of people cohabiting for the reasons of survival and shared living, all right? And out of that, you find people who are staying together, they intentionally stay together, they cohabit, and children are born in that, and they are not married, and they also separate. And when they separate, similar like the divorce, they go separate ways, and they continue with the same kids they got in this cohabitation or in this relationship. They continue to start another relationship.
Yes.
But it brings us back again.
Yeah.
Preparation. If we then move from where we are and they're already children, and we don't understand the significance of making preparations for where we are going, because one thing that we need to keep in mind and bear in mind is that this is not just about us making a choice and a decision to move on with our lives, but it has implications on the children.
Let me come in here, Tuto, so that we have this pointed conversation, especially around the pragmatics thereof. How intentional should the two individuals be, and maybe give me an insight into that conversation that they should be having if they intend on having workable blended families. So assuming they've divorced, right? And now they realize that they will continue with their lives, but they would still want to have this sort of unit that continues nonetheless. So perhaps one of them has a partner and the other one does not have a partner as yet. What sort of conversations should they have? Should their conversations include weekend visitations, holidays, and other responsibilities, and perhaps school events? What's taking place in that conversation of planning, as you have rightly recommended? What goes into that planning conversation?
I think what is critically important is to have a child-centric mindset. When we start the conversation about it, it should be centered around the best interest of the child, because that's what is lacking in most blended families. The high rise of conflicts that you see and not being able to listen to one another's ideology or suggestions or recommendation comes from there, where we become selfish as two partners or three partners, and we disregard the important factor in this whole entire scene, which is a child. So the first conversation should be saying, this, what we have decided, or what has happened to us as a couple or as two people who loved each other and we have gone separate ways, has implications on our child, because there's a child involved. What is it that we can do together, working together, that would make sure that whatever that we do and whatever that we choose to do in bringing up our child is in the best interest of the child, more than it should be the best interest of us and as individual people.
Yes.
If we start there, then it points us in a better direction, because then everything that we will suggest and discuss in this conversation will always have a center around the best interest of the child. So that should be the starting point.
It's 19 minutes after 11 o'clock. A parenting and family dynamics expert is joining me. Tuto Lepoto is his name. And we are speaking about family matters, blended families. Are you in a blended family? How are you making it work? And how long has it been that you've been in that blended family? How are you adjusting to it? And the children, is everything going well? The South Africa is becoming more and more open to this idea of blended families. It brings about challenges, but it could also bring about some great points of unity, especially where couples didn't see eye to eye before. Tuto, let me play devil's advocate, if you will, about blended families. Wherein now I separate with the mother of my kids and she goes away and she finds someone else. I go my way and I find someone else. And then we agree on various aspects of holidaying together for the purposes of the children and whatever else. And the jerk that she's seeing is closer to my daughter than I would appreciate. Obviously, I'd be a jealous parent, or my son, or anyone else. And I'm thinking, this guy called Paul, he's so closer to my kids. And how do we navigate all of those? Because genuine, and I'm talking about practical stuff, Tuto, because I don't want us just to speak about cloud cuckoo land and we leave people with real issues not being resolved, because these are serious issues. They may not be fashionable to discuss, but they are very real. And I have this sense of jealousy that this new guy seems to be getting very, very close to my kids, because we all went to Durban together and I see how my kids are loving him, jumping on him in the water and whatever else, and he can swim better than me. And how do you deal with those insecurities that emerge?
See, it takes us back to, I loved your question, the previous question, because it spoke to the responsibility and the understanding that these partners or these parents need to have when they blend this family. So it is very important for them to conversate or have a conversation about this, to say, now that there is 4 people raising this one child, let's say for argument's sake, it's only one child and it's 2 couples. Number one of the things we have to take cognizance of and appreciate is that this child is getting so much benefit to be raised by 4 different people. If these 4 people can cooperate with each other, if these 4 people can put this child at the center with an intention to mold this child to become the best that this child can have or can be, and make available the best that this child can have, that would be to the best advantage of the child. So it's important that this jealousy must be dealt with in this sense. Number one, have a conversation and say, or observe, what are the things that this particular dude is doing with your child that your child likes? Because sometimes this is a parenting problem. It's not a problem of the personality or the person in question, but it's a parenting problem. There's certain things that sometimes we deprive our children that when they get exposed to, they kind of enjoy. And if they are enjoying it with somebody else, then it raises and sparks jealousy in us. So the best approach for me would be have conversation, observe what are the things, because if it's doing no harm to your child and it's adding value, your child is happy, it shouldn't be an issue of jealousy, but it should be an issue or an issue of you copying the good thing that the other person is doing. And do it as well, because there's nothing wrong with that. If it adds value to your child, it does. It has nothing to do.
I hear you.
You can copy the good thing and do it when you're with your child. The child will still enjoy the same benefit, and that's what the problem is. Because if we don't see these things, Thabo, then the competition also chips in. It's not only jealousy. Now it adds on to become competition.
Yes. Then I'll take my child to France just to spite the jerk, the new guy in the picture, and say, you can't afford to take the kids to France. I'll take them to France. I'm just joking, of course. But coming back to this issue of insecurity, because it's a very serious thing, I suppose, if including at the beginning of this arrangement that we are speaking about, do you have responsibility to take care of his kids as well? Because he may have come in with 2 of his kids, then your ex-wife has perhaps 2 of your kids. Now you share the kids with your ex-wife, and these are the 2 in the middle. On the other end, it's 2 kids from this dude that I've been speaking about. And then on your end, the new lady, the gorgeous, beautiful lady on your end has got 2 kids as well. So what responsibility do I have to the kids of this new guy who's just entered the picture and won my children's heart over?
I think what is important is that these kids of this dude are now supposedly the siblings to your kids, to your ex-wife. So by virtue of that, number one, you have to accept that these kids of these dudes, supposedly in some way, in some form, or any other way, are now siblings with your children. That's number one. But this is very important. You don't have any responsibility that you are obligated to with regards to those kids, except for your ex-wife, because your ex-wife is the one who is in that new relationship with the guy. As much as your children are there in that same household, but the one who bears the bigger responsibility, it's your ex-wife, because she's the one who's now having to take the role of being a mother to them, not you. So she has to take the responsibility and make sure that the blending of your kids with the kids of this guy, it happens. So that's her responsibility.
Sure.
But for you, it's just for you to accept that those kids are there and they're in the life of your ex-wife, and not only, but also in the life of your children. So that will have an impact on you, because the influence that happens that side will definitely come to your side.
26 minutes after 11 o'clock, Thuto Lepoto is my guest, and Thuto is parenting and family dynamics expert on Family Matters feature every Monday between 11 and 12. Today we're speaking about blended families. Are you in a blended family? How is it going for you? Is there mutual respect among parents in that blended family scenario? How are you treating the children? And who's taking care of expenses for holidays and all of this? Is there any competition amongst you as this new blended family environment? How do you work things out? And most importantly, how do you introduce the blended family to your friends who used to know you as a couple, but now that you've gone separate ways, there are other people in the picture? And what do I say about the new guy in the picture? How do I introduce him if I meet Abel at the shops there and Abel sees me with this new guy and I say, who? Yeah, this is my ex-wife's boyfriend. How does it work? Let us know. 011-883-0702. Alternatively, send us a voice note to 072-702-1702.
Hi, Thabo. You know, one thing that would make blended families not work is family values. You know, how the children are brought up. Because children on my side, brought up by myself and my mother as their grandmother, would have different family values as the person that I would be dating. I once met this lady, had 2 children, one 6 years old, one 4 years old. You know, that relationships collapsed because of her 2 children, which are not disciplined, you know, in such a way that you would even do things without them, because if you involve them, you know, you're always gonna have a headache because they're not disciplined, and you can't even call them to order. That relationship collapsed.
I'd love to hear from you about that on 072-702-1702. Thuto, values, can they be a divisive factor?
Absolutely, they can be a divisive factor, but then it takes us back, and I will keep on emphasizing this until we close this segment. Preparation. When they began their relationship, did they really look into this? What kind of a relationship this should be? What does it? Because one of the things that is very critically important, Thabo, is to understand why preparing is important. That's why you are able to even identify things that you lack in this relationship that you need to bring up, things that you need to develop and establish in this relationship. Did they talk about this relationship? Because there were kids involved already. Because once there are kids involved, there should be an expectation that these kids have been brought up somewhere else where values might not be the same. Therefore, it means there is a responsibility on the person stepping in as a dad or as a mom to take that responsibility to say, I'm going to accept the child with this kind of values and try to see how we can form synergies, together with the values that I have to instill in them, not to crush the ones they are coming with, but to gradually build ones that will work to build this blended family that we're intending to establish. So it's very important talking about these things and identifying these weaknesses beforehand so that we know what we are up against and what we stand or obligated to invest ourselves in, with building this relationship.
Blended families, family matters on 702. Keep those voice notes coming through on 072 702 1702. Alternatively, call us on 011 883 0702. It's exactly 11:30. And I will read out some of your text messages that have come through to that very same number. For now, Mbali Dlamini will give us insight into the latest eyewitness news headlines. Morning, Mbali, welcome.
Thanks, Thabo. Good morning. Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has commended the KZN Political Killings Task Team for the arrest of suspects wanted in connection with the murder of whistleblower Xolani Ntombela. This murder case forms part of the 121 dockets returned to the task team last week to continue with investigations. Following the return, officers have now swiftly arrested a 55-year-old local chief and a 23-year-old hitman for the 2022 murder. A resurgence of violence at Cape Town courts is expected to dominate talks between Deputy Minister Andries Nel and officials at the Athlone Magistrates Court today. Nel's visit follows a deadly gang-related shooting there last week. A man was shot and killed outside the court's premises on Friday. And in Indonesia, more than 600 people are still detained following anti-government protests in the country last month. Thousands of people took to the streets against economic inequality and lavish perks for lawmakers. The protests widened to nearly 50 cities across the country, turning violent in some parts. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Travelling in Bedfordview, we've got an accident on the N3 North. It happened near the Kiluli's interchange. It's causing delays. There's also queuing traffic on the M2 West heading towards Amalgam between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. While travelling on the Golden Highway towards Freedom Park, do expect delays. This is between the N1 and Union Avenue due to faulty traffic lights as well as the roadworks that are currently taking place along this route. And then travelling in the city of Tshwane Centurion, we've got some delays on the N1 South approaching the Braakfontein interchange. This is due to an accident reported right after John Foster Drive. Delays from Bota Avenue. Please be on the lookout there and continue driving with care. I'm Amo Ramela, and that's your last traffic update from me. Otherwise, Karabujali will have your next report from the top of the hour onwards. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Looking for business insurance with added benefits for the unexpected? Switch to Outsurance Business today and you can enjoy services like help at Out with 24/7 access to panic assistance, roadside assistance, and even office assistance. For catering companies, boutique hotels, guest houses, tour operators, and other industries, Outsurance Business are trusted experts in business insurance. Get a hassle-free quote today. Call 0800 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's and information online. Limits apply.
Ready, jet, go! 2 fully paid trips to the Abu Dhabi Motor Racing Spectacular must be won in the thrilling new JetX competition exclusive to Hollywood Bets. An unforgettable experience awaits on one of the fastest circuits on the planet, with the world's top drivers battling for supremacy. To stand a chance to win, bet 10 Rand or more on JetX. 1 million Rand in cash is also up for grabs. Hollywood Bets, Fly higher with our multiplier. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
What does extraordinary mean to you? Is it factories and warehouses that run themselves or monitoring your assets in real time? Vodacom Business has connected more than 11.1 million IoT devices to enable smarter business, AI, cloud, enterprise apps, IoT and security. One seamless ecosystem. Search Vodacom Business IoT. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Vodacom Business. Further together.
702 and corporates that care with Ekwele are talking about Ekwele's commitment to uplifting communities across South Africa.
From Ekwele's side, we get a lot of requests for water. I think the access to clean drinking and safe water has become a daily challenge for many people. So we get a lot of requests. We really deliver hundreds and thousands of bottles every year. Recently, we saw a need for a more longer-term solution, more sustainable water solutions. When we turned 25, we delivered 25 water tanks to 25 communities all over South Africa. And it was really heartwarming to see what a difference a tank can make. The first tank we put up was at a school in Groutville, and KwaZulu-Natal, and the principal told us now they don't need to close their school anymore because sometimes they had to close school early because they didn't have water.
Ekwele, making a positive impact one drop at a time. Learn more at ekwele.co.za. 702, let's walk the talk.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
Welcome back. We are on Family Matters 702. Every Monday between 11 and 12, we take an hour to reflect on various aspects of the family. Today, we are speaking about blended families that are becoming increasingly common in South Africa. And I wanted to find out from you, are you in a blended family? Did you put it together with your partner? How is it working for you, particularly for the little ones? Is it working out fine when you go on holiday? Is everything okay? When you just sit for dinners, how does it play itself out? Feel free to share your thoughts, your views, your queries, your ideas about that on 072 702 1702. I'd love to hear from you about that. And my guest, Thuto Lepoto. And Thuto is parenting and family dynamics expert who's guiding us so gently on this journey. I've asked you to send your voice notes and your text messages. Here's one of the text messages that came through, and then I will throw it straight to Thuto, then come back with a voice note. It says, "Hi Thabo, who's the primary disciplinarian for the others?" Kids and others, they have put air quotes. Who is the primary disciplinarian for the others' kids? E.g., does your partner discipline my kids, or do I do it myself? Because I feel that's where we create the evil step-parent situation. And second one, Thuto. With this, I'll let you respond. How should I communicate with my ex-partner about our kids if the current partner is insecure about my contact with him but prefers I do it via aunts or uncles or gogos of the child? Thuto, the floor is yours.
Quickly, the second one is a bit tricky, but I'm going to start with the first one. Very important. It all depends on the level of relationship that you have already established with the child. So if you are in this blended relationship, your partner, who is a male, has brought in kids, and you are asking about whether you should be disciplining, who should be doing the disciplining. Both of you are parents in this household. You have a responsibility to mold these kids, to shape them, to guide them, and to parent them. But when it comes to disciplining, it becomes very tricky, especially with the subject of blended families. Because if the relationship is not well established, if there has not been a tight-knit connection between you and the children of your partner, it becomes very difficult for you to discipline them because it will be taken the other way. So sometimes it may then end up becoming what the listener is saying. It might be looking like you are this evil mom or this evil stepmom towards them because you are initiating disciplinary actions against them. So it's important that we establish this relationship and make sure that we establish it in such a way that we are now able to even communicate with them the things that they need to correct and find a particular way to do it gently in the beginning so that we don't appear to be this evil stepmom or stepdad. So the level of relationship and the type of connection and bond that we establish with these children is very key to allowing us to the type of disciplinary action that we can implement in our relationship with them.
Yeah, and the second part that you were a bit reticent of venturing into, Tuto, how should I communicate with my ex-partner about our kids if the current partner is insecure about my contact with him, but prefers that I do it via aunts or uncles or gogos of the child, not directly with my ex-partner?
See, it's very critical, and this is what I normally recommend when we do relationship coaching with blended families, to say to them, try in the beginning to have this conversation of bringing understanding between these two partners, that as much as you have your own partner and I have my own partner, but we both in our own separate entities as two different families have a responsibility to come together for the sake of the child. If that does not work, then there must be a particular way that both of you decide to use for the benefit of your communication for the sake of the child. But it must be something that you should have communicated first together. Involve your current partner if that is possible, so that this communication will bring understanding as to the dynamics of it. Because most of the cases that I've come across is people who did not communicate. So they just take it easy, Thabo, to say, now that we've separated, if anything is required for the kids, I'm just going to call him just like I did before. Meanwhile, it's no longer as easy as that, because we now have both our partners. So we need to communicate, if need be, involve our new partners. Let it be of a better way that will serve all four of us to communicate better for the sake of the children. That communication, that conversation must take place.
Sure. But in that conversation, we bring about the luggages that we have, and some would go as far as calling them baggages. Say, Thabo is insecure, and he says, listen, if you want anything else, if you want to communicate with him about the child that you both share, rather speak to the aunt, rather speak to the gogo, don't speak to him directly, because I'm wary that your frequent contact can rekindle something that perhaps I don't share as yet with you. And those things are very real, by the way, in relationships. Those things are very real. This man says, don't call him. Why are you calling him directly? Because he'll then say, oh, okay, let's go out for lunch. And then he chooses strategically that restaurant that used to make you weak on your knees when we first met, and it takes you back to those things. So in order to avoid all of those things, let's call the aunt. If you want to say something about the kids, the aunt will relay a message to him. And I think that's the framing that is here. But you are saying, Tuto, that communication must take place in order to avoid that. Is there something to be said about creating an envoy of sorts? And I'm saying an envoy in the air quotes as well. Is there something to be said about having an envoy go in betweener for you and the mother of the kids? Someone will go in between so that there isn't direct communication for you. Is there something to be said about that?
See, that is the most dangerous part that I've seen in a couple of relationships, where there is already an existing blended family between you and your ex-partner with their partner and your partner. And you are bringing in another person who will also be a blend in this, because now this person is playing a referee role in between the four of you or the two of you, a role that you actually can play. So it goes back to this thing, Thabo, that once we move on, let's be matured about it. And let's take it seriously. Let's mature about it. I hear the listener who says, what if you get those feelings rekindled? And it all brings us back to being matured about it. If we decide to move on, let's move on. And when we move on, let's be matured about the decisions and the choices that we make, and take responsibility that comes with that. And that responsibility in this instance primarily is the child. So if I move to that relationship, I need to find a way to communicate with him about our child, unless if there are issues that are irreconcilable that cause you to be so much in conflict that there cannot be a decent conversation anymore. Then in that case, it is wise to have somebody who will act in between to ensure that the communication reaches both parties for the sake of the child, and that the child can benefit from both the parents in the way that they're supposed to benefit.
16 minutes to 12 o'clock.
If you want to know about the heart and art of jazz, look no further than the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival, a grand ensemble of over 50 world-class acts across 4 stages for 3 whole days. That's right, from the 26th, 27th and 28th of September. The Sandton Convention Centre will be demure and sophisticated as the fine Standard Bank Joy of Jazz 2025 takes you deep into the heart, the art and splendour of jazz. Take me there. Book your seat via Ticketmaster now.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting luxury.
It's time to eat, dance, and celebrate. The DSTV Delicious Festival, powered by Lotto Star, is serving up to 2 days of world-class entertainment from international acts of SA's finest artists, alongside culinary masterpieces from the best local chefs. Bras, fashion, and art take part in live cooking demos and soak up the festival's electric atmosphere. Saturday 20 September is for you and your crew, and Sunday 21 September is for the family picnic vibes. DSTV is turning 30 and you're invited to the party. 1 ticket, endless experiences. Tickets at Ticketmaster, more on deliciousfestival.com.
702.
Family Matters.
Family Matters, we're speaking about blended families. 072 702 1702.
Morning, Thabo, and to your guest. I was in a marriage and we were a blended family, and the marriage failed because as much as I accepted my partner's kids, she didn't accept mine. And that's where most blended families fail, when one of the partners don't accept the kids of the other person. So when you go into a blended family, you must know you're not just marrying this woman, you are accepting her and her kids and everything that comes with it. You can't want to just be like, no, I just want you and not the baggage you come with. And a lot of people are not prepared for the baggage because kids have different mentalities and mindsets. Kids are naughty, kids are this way, kids are that way. We know how kids are. And because one partner's kids might be sweet and loving and your kids are but wild and naughty, they have difficulty with it. So when people get into a marriage and there's a blended family, they need to really look at the situation and see the kids and the extended family and everything, because it becomes a real problem if you're not prepared for it.
Morning, Thabo, to your crew there, and morning to our learned guest and everyone else who's listening. As much as the idea of blended families is quite interesting, considering that there will be people from all walks of life, coexisting in the same space. But I have my own reservations, especially when it comes to, parents coming together, each with their own children. I don't think it is conducive an environment for those children as compared to when they are raised by their biological parents. I'm not saying that is not something to do, but I'm saying as parents we should use the fact that we have brought innocent souls to this world as a motivator, as an encouragement for us to try by all means to fix our problems so that we can protect the space which we would have created for those innocent souls.
Sure. It's getting a bit heated. I'd love to hear from our guest, Thuto Lepoto. Thuto?
I agree with the first caller. What I like is he takes us back to preparedness. He says, parents need to prepare. We need to prepare. There's no other beating around the bush. Let's prepare for this. We know exactly what we are going or putting ourselves up for. And let's prepare for it. It involves our children. And if we truly love our children, we need to take it upon ourselves to create an environment and be sincere and be truthful, because sometimes people can be clouded by the feeling of love at that stage that they omit to even think about the environment that they need to have for this same love to flourish. Because here the listener says that the first marriage didn't work because of the children. The wife the ex-wife did not accept his kids, but he had to accept her kids. So it's a problem because we are so clouded by love that at times we don't realize how much it is important for us to prepare. So let's prepare environments that will ensure that our love grows, and also at the same time that it is an environment that permits us to bring our children from different backgrounds together in one household for their own good. And also with the second caller as well, I really understand his sentiment. I was brought up myself from a blended family. My dad went and got married, and when he got married, there was no preparation, such that even today, my dad's unfortunately he passed on, but his wife today, we're not in good terms. I never fought with her, but she never liked us. I'm the firstborn, and there were so many issues because we never were prepared to be in that space. We were never prepared that my dad would now marry another woman, and I've got other siblings, and my siblings couldn't go to my dad's house, but her kids could come to my dad's house. So it's all those dynamics that we're not prepared for, that the environment then becomes just an environment of conflict. So it is critically important, Thabo, to encourage our listeners in the society at large to say, let's be very wary of, looking at the environment that is required for us to exist. I think the environment is what is the primary focus, or what should be the primary focus of each and every couple, to say, yes, we love each other. Yes, we want to build a family together. And we understand that we are going to establish a blended family. But what environment will this blended family require? And they need to start looking at those resources, those structures, and those systems that must be in place to facilitate that relationship to exist, and also that family that is going to be blended to be able to blossom and flourish without any conflict, but with love and unity.
Makes perfect sense. 8 minutes to 12 o'clock. We're speaking about blended families. If you've just joined us, let me go to some of your text messages that came on 072 702 1702. Morning, Thabo. What if the parent refuses to communicate because their ex has a new partner? Only communicates with a child, even if the new parent takes care of the child. It's been 6 years now. Thuto?
You see, that is one of the problems that we have. I'm sorry to say this, but it's us as adults not wanting to mature. We don't want to put things in perspective and in order of priority. If we have broken up, me and my wife, I need to accept the fact that my wife has moved on, irrespective of the nitty-gritty details of why we broke up, and think for the sake of our child. I cannot hold my child hostage from receiving the proper care, the proper parenting, and the proper support simply because I have an issue with his mom or her mom. So I think in this case, it's important that the partner who's very much hesitant or refusing for this communication to take place must catch a wake-up call to say, what is important? Is it me or my child? Your child comes first. So let's be very much wary of that type of setting or setup where we don't put things in order of priority and prioritize our children before ourselves. I think this partner needs to prioritize the child and ensure that there is communication, because I'm definitely sure that this communication is about the child and for the betterment of the life of the child. So if that is the case, the partner needs to open up and allow the communication so that the child can get the necessary support they need to get from their biological parents.
How do you address, Tuto, the matter of perhaps inconsistent or religious practices that are not necessarily comparable with each other? A new guy is a staunch Catholic. The old guy believes in the Shembe Church, and I look at him and I'm thinking I'm uncomfortable with my child growing an afro, and he is also thinking, all this rosary nonsense, it's just nonsense to me. Because I mean, you know this, that religion makes or breaks relationships in some instances. Not even that, even just around a dinner table, it's almost taboo to express a very strong religious positioning.
Thabo, at preparation stage of this blended family to begin to exist, it's very important to understand this aspect that we need to get embedded in us. That we need to understand that we cannot do it any other how except for gradually introducing the new norm to the new family. The biggest mistake that couples make is to impose so many things at early stages of the blended family being established. And that is what causes conflict. So if my child is Catholic and now I have a new partner who goes to Shembe, I need to make my partner aware that this is the culture that my child is used to. And if we have to introduce this new culture, number one, we have to check how old is the child? Can the child reason and be able to make choices for themselves? If they're at the age where they can reason and choose to make these choices for themselves, we need to allow them to. But we need to provide that environment that facilitate for each and every party to this family to be heard, their concerns, their ideologies, their thoughts, their perceptions, so that those perceptions and those ideologies can be then used to come up to a conclusive common objective that will suit all of us in the family. So it cannot be imposed, even if the child is small, but that understanding must be communicated to the partner to say, this is what the child knows. And if there's a new norm, this new norm must be gradually introduced to this entire family or to a child to ensure that everybody is comfortably introduced and is gelling into this new norm. If that is not done, it puts us in a place where conflicts can then seem to probably be found to be rising because of those tiny little issues that could have been communicated better at early stages.
Tuto, thanks very much for your inputs. I really appreciate it. You adding some much needed clarity on those very complicated matters. And we hope to speak to you in the near future. Tuto Lepoto is parenting and family dynamics expert, and he was guiding us in this conversation. 3 minutes to 12.
In ancient Corinth, as Alexander the Great approached the philosopher Diogenes and offered to grant him any wish, Diogenes simply replied, "Stand a little out of my son." At Plus 94 Research, we believe in illuminating the path to informed decisions. By removing the shadows of uncertainty, we let the light of data-driven insights shine through. Don't let assumptions cloud your vision. Step into the light of clarity. Plus 94 Research, the science of decision-making.
They've stood tall, served hard, and dreamt big. Now it's time to honor the best among them. It's Gauteng's Greatest Awards with 702, powered by Yoko. Tune in on Tuesday, 9 September from 6 a.m. when we reveal the winners and celebrate the excellence that makes Gauteng feel like home. Because every time a business wins, the whole community shines. Gauteng's Greatest Awards with 702, powered by Yoko. Let Yoko counter fuel your business to greatness. Go to yoko.com to explore the new point of sale solution, saving hundreds of businesses time and money.
This is Jade. She'll spend hours comparing almond milk and once made a spreadsheet just for sneakers. But when she found Santam, SA's leading short-term insurer that offers a range of cover options from vehicle to building and home contents, even she didn't overthink it. The kind of freedom Santam gives you takes some getting used to. Speak to your broker. Santam, this is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer and controlling company for its group companies.
Coming up
On the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
The elegant-looking Mandy Winner is here, and she'll tell us what's coming up on the Midday Report between 12 and 1. Hey, Mandy.
Quite an introduction there, Thabo. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's befitting.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mm.
It feels like there are a lot of shootings taking place at the moment, and that's reflected in what is on the Midday Report today. 5 suspects killed in a shootout with police in KZN. The Deputy Minister of Justice is visiting the Athlone Magistrates Court following a shooting on Friday. The Gauteng Premier, Panyaza Lesufi, is visiting wardens that were injured in a shooting in Davidton. Kat Matlala is in court today. And then we'll wrap up the weekend sport. Some good, some bad.
We can't wait. Join Mandy between 12 and 1. Thanks very much for staying with us. It is exactly 12 o'clock. Goodbye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon. I'm Bali Lamini. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has commended the KZN Political Killings Task Team for the arrest of suspects wanted in connection with the murder of whistleblower Xolani Ntombela. This murder case forms part of suspects wanted in connection with the murder of whistleblower Xolani Ntombela. This murder case forms part of the 121 dockets returned to the task team last week to continue with investigations. Following their return, officers have swiftly arrested a 55-year-old local chief and a 23-year-old hitman for the 2022 murder. Xolani Ntombela was shot and killed at his homestead in KZN. Police spokesperson Athlenda Mate.
Ntombela was murdered for exposing the illegal sales of land in the Mpopeni area.